It is a nasty one here in Baltimore today. You see the temperature, a lot of wind, showers throughout. And we wanted an all-pro guy down there to handle it, and so we've got our 7-time Pro Bowler, Steve Tasker. Steve, good afternoon.
Hey, Kevin. Hey, Rich. I spoke to the grounds crew earlier today. They said this field is not going to be the issue. It will take a ton of water and never give up. It's going to be all about keeping the ball playable. It's going to get wet. The footballs are going to be very slippery, and that's going to be the issue. I spoke to Sean McDermott right off the bus today. He iterated the same thing. He's talking to his players about ball security. It's rained all morning. It's not going to stop. Everybody's ready for it. They just got to play through it. Kevin?
Steve, thanks. Rich, would a quarterback rather go against wind or rain? In this case, it's both. What's the worst of the two?
Kevin, the biggest bummer, if you're Joe Flacco and Nathan Peterman, is when you woke up this morning and looked out that hotel room and saw the rain. Snow, wind, not an issue. It is the rain. It is the constant slick balls that you have to deal with. You're just never sure what kind of ball you're going to get from the center, and that will be an issue for both of these quarterbacks.
Stephen Hauschka is going to kick off for the Buffalo Bills, who won the toss. They have deferred. Ravens will receive. Deep back, the rookie free agent from Rutgers, Janarian Grant, all-time kickoff return leader in Rutgers history. The Bills, the Ravens, and away we go from Baltimore. And he'll take it out. Grant outside. And to about the 23, flag thrown on the play, 26-yard return. Our official today, a referee, Shawn Hochuli, and if that name rings a bell, it should. He is the son of the terrific Ed Hochuli, who retired this offseason. First game that Ed Hochuli will watch his son, Shawn, as a referee here in the NFL.
4 new referees this season, and most likely a couple more next offseason with some of the referees anticipating retirement. So a lot of turnover, Kevin, at a critical position.
And Rich, we now have some full-time officials in the NFL, 26 of them and counting.
Probably a good idea.
Yeah.
During the return, there were fouls by both teams on the play. Personal foul, face mask by the kicking team, number 30. Personal foul, illegal double team block, receiving team, number 37. By rule, those fouls offset at the spot of the double team block. First down, Baltimore.
You can no longer have the wedge block, and you think about kickoff returns and the changes and with the rules this year. The kickoffs have the highest rate of concussions, 4 times higher than any other play in the game, and that's why we've seen changes to the kickoff rule this season.
The running back is Alex Collins, and Flacco with a 1st and 10 from his 20. Almost knocked away, almost hit on that play by Alexander. And it's off to the tight end, Boyle. Chased from behind and brought down by rookie Tremaine Edmonds. 25-yard pickup and a 1st down to the 45.
Well, we talked in the open about the importance of the play-action game. Flacco loves it, and you look at Joe Flacco, Kevin, I mentioned he's healthy, and that's important. He had the knee injury in 2016 that he was recovering from, and last year he missed all of training camp with a back. So they're expecting big things from their veteran quarterback.
In the pistol, 1st and 10. And they sneak that one through. Edmonds again jumping on the back of the tight end who makes the grab. Nick Boyle, 11-yard pickup after his 25-yard catch and run. Here's the offensive line. Notice the right guard, Yonda. He is back after missing a great deal of last season, the broken ankle, then shoulder surgery this past offseason. He's one of the best in the business. And Rich has talked about Snead and Crabtree and Brown, the new additions to this offense. With a 1st and 10. Collins, that's what's going to happen on a slippery day like this. Bad exchange. I don't know if it was the weather or just missed time, but they lose 6 on the play, Rich. They go back to midfield.
We talk about the importance of the run game footwork, and Flacco and the back just aren't on the same page. You look at it from the end zone, and he's just too far away. Look at this ball exchange. Joe Flacco anticipating Alex Collins in the A gap, and looks like Collins is expecting the ball in the B gap.
Couple notes here for the Buffalo defense. Kyle Williams is on the line, and Philip Gaines is starting at a cornerback. Vontae Davis is down and active. Look who's in motion, Lamar Jackson. And look who's running, Collins. Brought down by Jordan Poyer in the secondary. Flag down to the 37 of Buffalo with a run there of 13. We saw Lamar Jackson in the game.
Offense number 72, 10-yard penalty, replay, second down.
Alex Lewis, the left guard. For John Harbaugh's Baltimore Ravens, he is entering his 11th season.
Well, you just get a good look at the guard pulling, and he's going to grab Shaq Lawson and hook him right at the point of attack. You saw, not surprised, Kevin, to see Lamar Jackson early in this game. They're going to have a package of plays for him. And in talking to Leslie Frazier, the Bills defensive coordinator, said we've had to spend extra time preparing and practicing for Lamar Jackson. I'm certain they're going to have a package of plays specifically designed to get him the ball in space.
For second down.
9-7 season last year for John Harbaugh. Ravens have missed the playoffs for 3 consecutive years. Second down, 26 now. In the backfield, they had Buck Allen, who offers a block out there with Hurst, and they're going deep, and look who's wide open. Downfield, caught by Brown. Tackled by Poyer. 29-yard reception to the 31 of Buffalo.
Well, here's Brown, and you're going to see a double move. They're going to move the pocket. He's going to go up the field, and look at the separation. Look at the respect that this secondary has for John Brown. He has rare and unusual speed, sub 4.4, and he is so smooth in and out of cuts.
2 tight ends, 1st and 10. Fake to Collins. Flacco outside, but caught out of bounds on the side, as you can see. Crabtree brought it in. There was a nice block there by the left tackle, Ronnie Staley, incomplete.
And you just got the sense in visiting with Flacco on Friday how much more comfortable he is with their perimeter players. They were very aggressive in free agency. We talked about them adding Crabtree and Brown and Snead. This is an area where they really struggled a season ago. They produced the 4th fewest amount of receiving yards last season.
Harrison Phillips on that defensive line for Buffalo, the 3rd-round pick and a rookie out of Stanford. 2nd down and 10. Brown in motion, fake to Collins, and up the middle. It's the tight end here, Mark Andrews, the rookie out of Oklahoma, 11-yard pickup. So the tight ends on this drive have caught receptions at 25, 11, and 11 yards right there, and put him at the 20. Buffalo's defense on that line. Murphy is in, by the way, right there. You see number 93, Trent Murphy. He hasn't played since 2016, missing all of last year with an ACL. It's a 1st and 10. Game opening drive for Flacco. And he got Murphy to move, and here's Collins, who tries to get outside, hit by Edmonds, and then wrapped up on the play, hit by a couple others, including Alexander. And they move him back for 3, back to the 23-yard line. With another penalty flag. We've seen a lot, Rich, on this opening drive.
Offside. Defense number 93. 5-yard penalty. Replay, 1st down.
This is what happens when you don't practice and play in the preseason. You know, you look at Trent Murphy, Kevin, you mentioned the ACL injury last year. He's had a soft tissue injury that he's been really battling through in training camp. And if you look around the league, these veteran players don't play in the preseason. And so you wonder why they come out here and have some mistakes early.
Rookie Taron Johnson, the 5th defensive back. Jackson is in. And down he goes. Redwell on the line, hit by Eddie Yarbrough. No gain on the play. So Lamar Jackson, who has been at a quarterback position and then takes a direct snap right there. The rookie out of Louisville.
The only player in FBS history to throw for 3,000 yards and rush for 1,000 yards in back-to-back seasons. He is a dynamic playmaker, and they're going to continue to mix him in. You know, forced Buffalo to have to adjust on the fly.
Buck Allen is in, 2nd and 5. On the 8th play of the drive, he's got time here. He's chased by Lawson. He throws a ball, which is caught about the 11-yard line. Grabbed by Boyle, tackled by Poyer, the safety, and it's a gain of 4 to the 11.
This is an organization that values the tight end position. They kept 4 on the roster, including their first and third round picks, Hurst and Andrews, and of course they love Boyle and Max Williams, 2 bigger tight ends, very good in the running game, but both have good hands. When in doubt, Flacco's going to look inside to the tight ends. He loves throwing the ball in the middle of the field.
Kyle Williams back in, 3rd and 1. Ricard is the fullback, and they've taken himself and Flacco with the quarterback keeper to the 8 with a first down, gain of 3. 1st and goal to go on the game-opening drive for the Baltimore Ravens. Passes of 25 and 11 to Boyle. Andrews caught one for 11. And then John Brown, you talked about him, Rich. He had a catch reception for 29 yards on this drive.
Well, they've looked sharp, and what's impressed me is their substitution patterns. Marty Morningwig's done a nice job moving different tight ends and personnel groupings and receivers, and even getting Lamar Jackson into the flow early.
2 tight ends, Collins in the running back. Collins, look at that gaping hole. Look at him drive. Touchdown. At this time a year ago, that kid was on the practice squad.
Well, you look at the block from the guard, and that is a huge hole for Alex Collins. Watch him finish. He's going to be just shy.
What do you think?
I don't know. It's
Did he
hard.
cross?
It looked like
he's not on the ground.
He's not on the ground yet. He is reaching.
And he's on a body. And I think as his elbow hits, it crosses that plane. You think?
That's certainly one they could take a look at. You love the effort, though, don't you?
Yes.
We always talk about a running back that has the nose for the goal line, and Collins really came on strong in the second half of the season.
Justin Tucker will try the extra point. Opening drive, touchdown, 7-0 Baltimore. As we said, Alex Collins, he was from practice week 1, practice squad a year ago at this time. Then he starts 12 games, just shy of 1,000 yards, and gets the first score of the season for Baltimore. Rich, the Ravens didn't score a first quarter touchdown in their last 8 games last season, but they get one here to start off the 2018 season.
They've historically been slow starters, Kevin, even in the first half of the season. That wasn't an area where they were particularly good, and so it's certainly been a point of emphasis. You talked to Marty Morningwig and the importance of getting off to fast starts, especially here at home.
Tucker with the kickoff and deep back. The 3rd-year player out of Missouri, Marcus Murphy, had a great camp at the 5, and here he goes. A full head of steam, and then jumping on his back is rookie free agent Chris Board. 28-yard return. Nathan Peterman in his 2nd season out of Pitt. Last year he was a 5th-round draft choice by Buffalo.
And it's critical that he understands how they're going to win today. And I think the most important thing, Kevin, I mentioned this to you earlier in the week, I don't care how many yards or touchdowns he throws for. The most important thing is ball security. You look at this Ravens defense over the last 2 seasons, they've got more takeaways and interceptions than any other team in football.
Ravens in the nickel. Curley was in motion, and McCoy gets the call. Losing a yard on the play, hit initially by Tavon Young. Now this offensive line, they've gotten a lot of criticism here early on. It's a line that has lost a couple starters from a year ago. Benjamin, the #1 receiver. 2nd down and 11. Peterman, and like you talked about, Rich, throwing it away is not bad. McCoy was heavily covered by Suggs.
How about the strategy? Kevin, I mentioned it to you. With so many starters not playing in the preseason, I'd run a ton of no huddle in September. Wear down a defense and find out who's really in shape in the 4th quarter. This is the money down for Peterman today, 3rd down. Recognition, communication, execution. You have to be able to trust your rules against a Baltimore defense that lines up all over the place in 3rd down. Look, you see them all standing up. It's hard to communicate.
It's Peterman, 3rd and 11. Down he goes at the 28. Sacked on the play, hit by a couple, including Zadarius Smith, losing 3 on the play. And in the secondary, Young coming up. He made a tackle, and he was there for the quarterback.
Well, you look at Smith. He's lined up over the center. He's going to work all the way outside. Peterman steps right up into the sack. Talked about the importance of stepping up. But boy, this is a defense that does a terrific job pressuring the quarterback.
But Bojorquez, who is in camp with New England, never punted. He is a rookie from New Mexico, waived by New England. They thought maybe they could protect him. The Bills got him that they let Colton Schmidt go. And his first NFL punt is high and in the rain and wind. And it's back at about the 27-yard line, and Grant with a hang of 4.28, and down he goes about the 25, losing a yard on the return. 45-yard punt. Alexander right there. 7-0 Baltimore on a touchdown run.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by McDonald's, Walmart. Discover more ways to shop at Walmart today. And by Progressive Insurance, handing off big savings to you.
After the 3 and out for the Bills, here is an end around. Jet sweep John Brown. And forced out of bounds by Phillip Gaines. 17th career start today. Gain of a yard.
A good looking opening drive. 6-minute drive. They go 80 yards in 10 plays. Flacco 5 of 6. I mentioned Joe Flacco's affinity for the tight end position. Ravens had 4 tight end receptions on that opening drive. And of course, they finish it off with a powerful run up inside from Alex Collins.
Bills in the nickel. 2nd down 9 through the hands of Crabtree. A couple over there were defending, including Humber. Incomplete also. White, 3rd and 9.
I think when in doubt, you work away from Tre'Davious White. He is their best corner. He had a terrific season as a rookie last year, and I think he matches up well with Crabtree. He plays with a ton of confidence.
Buck Allen is in. 3rd and 9. Come off the edge, high and incomplete. And they were zeroing in that time on Willie Snead, the former New Orleans Saints player. That's a 3 and out too, so the Bills defense settling a bit on this rainy, windy day in Baltimore. And here comes the punting unit for the Ravens.
And with the weather, you have to be careful that you put it on the body of these receivers. You see the one throw to Crabtree earlier, and then that last one to Snead. High throws are dangerous in the rain.
Sam Cook to punt. Deep back Jeremy Curley, the former Jet. And he sends us a mile back to the 17. Picked up by Curley, who will dance. And will be brought down, hit initially by Bowser. 4-5 on the hang. A punt of 63 and a timeout in Baltimore.
Nervous time now starts for the Buffalo Bills.
4th down. Dalton steps up. Dalton throws. It's complete. Remarkable.
Well, the Bills beat the Dolphins of Miami. They were watching that Bengals-Ravens game in Baltimore, and they got into the playoffs. The tiebreaker, McDermott in his first year taking his team to the postseason. That is incomplete. And they were going for Jeremy Curley on that 1st down throw from Nathan Peterman. 2nd down and 10.
Well, I think it's really important, Kevin, that he get off to a good start. And you look at this tip sheet. This is important for Peterman. The time clock. You've got to be able to play fast from under center. You can't take the 2nd and 3rd hits. He's got to step up in the pocket, help the tackles. Throwaways once in a while are okay against this defense. He's got to avoid the negative plays, the sacks, the fumbles, and the turnovers.
Here the 2nd down and 10. They swing it out of the backfield. Here is Curley. Hit on the play by Young. It is a gain of 3. He'll be up near the 18-yard line.
Peterman has to understand that the most important thing at the end of each play is to still possess the football. He's got to play smart and know what it's going to take. He's going to have to make some big throws on 3rd down against a Ravens defense that has experience and know-how on 3rd down situations. They've got to be able to win outside. A lot of press, man-to-man coverage. Somebody has to win.
6 defensive backs, 3rd and 7. Needing the 25. Peterman, and incomplete for Benjamin, their number 1 receiver. Brandon Carr, a longtime veteran in the NFL. Dallas and Kansas City up there covering. 4th and 7. The punting unit gets out there. 2nd consecutive 3-and-out for the Bills.
That was almost a predetermined decision, right? He dropped back. You saw the late rotation. He was determined to take 5 and throw the ball to his big 6'5" receiver, Kelvin Benjamin.
Bojorquez not punted in the preseason, as we mentioned. His first punt in the NFL moments ago, 45 yards. Second punt right here. He had a hang of 4.28 the last time. Grant looking into the rain, 32-yard line, 4.8 hang there. That offers a lot of tackling opportunities for Alexander and company for the Bills. They bring him down after a 3-yard gain, a 51-yard punt, and a timeout in Baltimore. 5.5 in the first on CBS.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by State Farm. Talk to an agent today at 800-STATE-FARM. And by AT&T. More for your thing. That's our thing.
A lot of wind, up to 20-mile-an-hour gusts here in Baltimore. First series, 8-yard touchdown run by Collins on an 80-yard Flacco-led drive. 3rd possession here, 1st and 10, Collins. Tripped up and holding on for dear life there is, with a gain of 3 on the play, Alexander.
Well, let's look at the scouting report. Obviously, their commitment to running the football for the Ravens is a strength. The weakness, a 29th ranked passing attack a season ago. It's been a point of emphasis. You look at the Buffalo defense, their secondary is a strength, especially the 2 safeties who accounted for 10 interceptions last year. If there's a weakness, it was their run defense. They were ranked 29th. They gave up 125 yards a game on the ground a season ago.
Buck Allen is in, 2nd and 7. And bobbled and incomplete. Looking for Crabtree. Poyer just about reeled it in. 3rd and 7 coming up. First trip to New York. Let's go to James Brown.
Hey, Kevin, rules enforcement.
That's right, Kevin and Rich. Andrew Luck doing what Andrew Luck always does, takes off running on this play. And the safety for the Bengals right there, Sean Williams, leading with his helmet. The penalty was called. He was ejected. And the Indianapolis Colts had to set up for a field goal, 3-3.
3rd and 7 going deep and incomplete. Flag thrown with the coverage on the play by the rookie Taron Johnson out of Weber State on a deep pass, Rich, for Willie Snead.
Yeah, he just panics, and he is going to be called for. He's actually grabbing the shirt of Willie Snead, and it really didn't even matter. It was an overthrown ball. He wasn't going to be able to make the play.
A lot of changes at that wide receiver crew, as we talked about. Rich mentioned it in the open, including cutting former first-round pick Rashad Perriman.
Pass interference. Defense. The ball will be placed at the spot of the foul. First down.
Second-year coach Sean McDermott watching. A penalty against his Bills, and now that defense is going to have to gear up because back in the game is Lamar Jackson for Baltimore. .28-yard penalty in essence, and down to the 35-yard line. There's Jackson.
This will cause the Bills to adjust their approach. You see him right here.
They bring over Humber. Pitch out to Jackson. Whoops, got to go the other way because he's being chased on the play by Hughes. Downfield it goes. Snead was there, incomplete.
I think this was a designed throw all the way, and it's a good decision by the rookie quarterback. He knows he can't get around the left side, and he does the next best thing. He throws the ball away and avoids the sack on 1st and 10. They are really excited about Lamar Jackson. It's been a process for him. You see him talking to Robert Griffin III there. He needs work on his pocket presence and awareness and the accuracy, but he is a dynamic playmaker.
Collins in, Brown in motion, 2nd down 10. It's the tight end, the rookie Andrews. A second catch for him. Hit on the play by Poyer. 11-yard reception, and they'll put him down to the 24. Flag.
This is going to be a helmet at the helmet shot.
There is no foul on the play. The hit was legal. First down.
Mark Andrews, they like him. Boy, the tight end in this offense significant. Let's watch this one again.
Well, this is what they're really trying to avoid. You just watch the tight end go down. He leads with the, well, he misses. He swings and misses. Poyer's fortunate. He actually hits him with the shoulder pad. It is a point of emphasis, lowering the helmet to initiate contact. We've seen a lot of those calls in the preseason.
40 guys, Mike. Yeah.
Fullback Ricard is in 1st and 10.
Multiple tight end usage.
It's Collins. And they got Hughes and others there. Edmonds, no gain on the play. He is stoned at about the 23-yard line.
I think Buffalo's run defense is going to be an area where we see a ton of improvement. They went out and got Lotulelei. They drafted Edmonds in the 1st round. And they've got some guys, I think, that can really make a difference with their front 7. I think by having Lotulelei and Kyle Williams inside, it'll allow Leslie Frazier, their defensive coordinator, to have those linebackers play downhill a lot more on the early downs.
2nd down 10. Allen was in. Hurst the block. And there's a throw to the wide receiver Sneed. Hit on the play after a gain of 4 by Johnson. And they'll go down to the 19-yard line of Buffalo.
And talking to Sean McDermott last night, one of the things he said was last year on defense, their overall team speed wasn't where it needed to be. And that's why they went out and picked up the linebacker Edmonds. He's a guy that can run sideline to sideline. I think give him a little bit more speed on the 2nd level when it comes to pass coverage.
Edmonds only 20 years old, youngest starting linebacker on opening weekend in the Super Bowl era on 3rd and 6. Buck Allen, he breaks 1 tackle of games. Finally, he is brought down in the secondary, hit by Hyde. And he's down inside the 10 near the 8, 1st and goal.
Well, Philip Gaines has to wrap up. I mean, he just goes in there and tries to thump the back, and you're not going to knock a bigger back like Buck Allen down. You got to make sure you wrap up and get him on the ground.
Collins in, 1st down and 10. And that was the tumbling fullback Max Williams, who was lining up as the fullback. He picks up a yard gain on the play, and they'll put him down to about the 7.
I like Max Williams. You know, I worked Max Williams out when he was a junior in high school out in Waconia, Minnesota. I did such a good job coaching him as a quarterback, Kevin. He went to the University of Minnesota, became a tight end.
Wow. What's that say about
that? Tells you that I'm not a very good quarterback coach, but they like Max Williams. He'll do it all. He'll get in there and do the dirty work and block.
Jackson is in. The fake by Flacco. Incomplete, low, and uncatchable for Brown with the heavy coverage there by Poyer. Yeah, I don't know what it says about your coaching or not. Boy, they're using Jackson a lot. Rich, are you surprised as much as they've used him here in the 1st quarter in differing ways?
There's a reason why they used the 1st-round pick on him, Kevin. I thought it was interesting talking to Flacco. He said, look, I'm open to whatever will benefit our team, and it won't be a detriment to our offensive rhythm. That's unusual coming from an 11-year veteran. I know that would be hard for me, but the good thing is they're not taking Flacco out of the game.
3rd and goal at the 7. Wide open, touchdown, Sean Brown. 7-yard touchdown pass by Joe Flacco. Working on Poyer.
Well, this is a staple throw. It's just double post. And what they're going to do, you're going to see they try and influence the safety. And Crabtree's going to hold the near safety. Just look at this hole in the 2nd window. Good read and good recognition by Joe Flacco. That's why you go out and spend the money in free agency.
And they got the Tucker extra point. Looked like Hyde was back there. I'm not sure who was supposed to have Brown. Nonetheless, he catches the touchdown pass of 7. 14-zip the Ravens. Back after this from Progressive Insurance. Well, Rich, we have seen these offseason changes by the Ravens in full flower. A wide receiver. They signed 3 new guys there. They got Younger at tight end. drafting a quarterback in the first round, and everybody has kind of gotten their fingerprints on this 14-zip lead early here for Baltimore.
Well, I think they're excited about the wide receiver position. They managed only 11 touchdowns last year. The team was ranked dead last in yards per attempt, and so they go out and sign 3 very good veteran receivers to help Flacco.
Marcus Murphy will let it go out of the end zone. It's a touchback. It'll go to the 25-yard line for Buffalo. And Saturday, the SEC on CBS will feature the best game from the best conference. 11th ranked LSU taking on number 7 Auburn. Auburn looking to avenge last season's loss to LSU and keep their 13-game home winning streak alive. Today will kick off with college football today at 3 Eastern on CBS.
See the extra lineman in there, and a good indicator of some type of run formation. They need to get something going, Kevin. They're down 14-0 early with an inexperienced quarterback.
It's McCoy on 1st and 10. No place to run, no place to hide. Hit on the play by Matthew Judon, and there is a gain of a yard. And he's out to the 26 with a flag.
Ten-yard penalty, replay, first down.
Bills have another new offensive coordinator. Brian Daboll is in there, and he's taken the place of Rick Dennison, who's gone. That's Sean McDermott. 1st and 20. Look out. Well, he got away from Wormley. Then he was brought down by Tavon Young. 2nd sack right there on Nathan Peterman.
Well, this is a tough block. You're going to see they're trying to come back across. This is difficult for the center, and his center's going to get beat across his face trying to block Wormley, and Wormley just walks the center right back into the lap of the quarterback. That's where the penetration initially started.
2nd down, 24. They need the 35. And the run here by Marcus Murphy. Hit by a couple on the play. Initially, C.J. Mosley had a hand on him. Murphy running for 7 right there.
Well, at some point, you're going to have to challenge this Ravens secondary. Remember, now they're without Jimmy Smith, their best cover corner, who's out the first 4 weeks of the season. But they've got to take some shots down the field and challenge this Ravens secondary.
Flacco's had a 7-yard touchdown pass. Collins has had an 8-yard touchdown run. According to script for the Ravens over the Bills. Let's go to the second quarter on CBS. 14-0 Baltimore, and those numbers tell the story, Rich.
You know, the problem's really been first down. They've 3 plays, -5 yards. They can't generate any production on the early down. Now they find themselves in these long 3rd down situations against a Ravens defense that likes to bring pressure.
6 in the secondary. Murphy, the running back. 3rd and 17. First play of the second quarter. Peterman, they blow it dead. Maybe Smith on that defensive line. Let's see here.
I think he tried to mix in a hard count. They've gotten Smith to jump.
Number 72, 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
Ryan Groy, who is the center, he beat out free agent Russell Bodine. Let's listen to that once again and see if we can pick it up. The center saying,
They're going to get him for the head bob.
yeah.
And Peterman has to be able to change up the snap count to take the edge off of this pass rush. Well, these aren't situations you want to be in with your young quarterback.
This is Murphy. They needed the 35 on that 3rd and 22. They pick up 9. Punting unit back out there again. 3 possessions and 3 punts for Buffalo.
The 3 and outs are demoralizing to an offense, and got to be a sense of urgency from this Buffalo offense to kind of get something going. Flacco has looked really sharp in the first half, and Kevin, I mentioned to you during the commercial break, he's got big hands, big mitts. This weather isn't going to affect Flacco. He can throw a wet ball, no problem.
Punter Corey Bojorquez with another punt. Deep back, Grant. 30-yard line. And oh, is he slippery. And now he's got an entourage. Blockers ahead, putting inside. Brought down by Lorenzo Alexander. An electrifying return of 51 yards. Janarian Grant, the rookie free agent out of Rutgers, flying the other way.
Well, they've always been good in the return game. They've got great special teams units, and go figure, their head coach is a former special teams coach, and there is a priority on the kicking game. And they are really excited about Grant. He is a rookie, but did some great things and won the job in the preseason.
The special teams for the Ravens a year ago, #1 in the NFL. Collins in the backfield. Flacco 1st and 10. Rush almost picked off, just that close for Lawson. With pressure applied by the rookie Tremaine Edmonds, incomplete.
Well, good alert play by Shaq Lawson. They're trying to throw the screen out the back door. And you see he's going to come off the edge. Here comes the screen, and you see Lawson. He does a great job getting both hands up in the throwing lane.
Extra lineman, 2nd down and 10.
Michael! On Michael! Hey, wait! Blue! Nice!
It's Collins, brought down. Nice defensive play right there by the undersized Matt Milano. A 5th-round pick out of BC a couple years ago. It is a loss of 3 and back to the 23.
Just watch the penetration. This is good to see if you're Buffalo on defense, because this was a problem a year ago. Look at the penetration. Look where the hats are. All the blue jerseys in the backfield of the Ravens. We talked about the penetration and the difference that players like Otulele can make alongside Kyle Williams in the running game.
3rd and 13. Flacco. Here comes Williams. There goes Flacco. He's chased by Alexander. And incomplete for the tight end, Boyle.
Well, Flacco's never going to be able to solve problems with his feet like Lamar Jackson. He has to be able to solve problems with his arm and his brain. You see him once he gets outside the pocket, he knows there's a sense of urgency. He can't run like Jackson.
Here's Justin Tucker. He'll be trying a 41-yard field goal. Ravens have scored on an 8-yard touchdown run by Collins, a 7-yard touchdown pass to Brown from Flacco. Long drives each. They had a return here of 51 yards by Grant. They try to tack on a 41-yard field goal from Tucker, and if you can make it out there with the rain on our lens, you see that it's good. And the Raven lead is extended. But the Grant punt return did it all. Nathan Peterman's got a lot on his plate now, trailing 17-zip. The start for Nathan Peterman.
Yeah, it's been a struggle, Kevin, and in fairness to him, that he hasn't had a lot of help. But you know, the reason he won the job was he was probably mentally and emotionally the steadiest of all of them. You look at Josh Allen, I think it's just a matter of time before we see Josh Allen this season. I don't know that it made a lot of sense to start him here against this Ravens defense, but he has a ton of talent. I think he probably has the best arm talent of any of the quarterbacks taken in the first round this season. That guy can throw it all over the park. But what you don't want to do is put him in his first ever start before he's ready to play against this Ravens defense and have a bad experience. If you talk to Sean McDermott, and he spent a lot of time with Andy Reid, you look at how Andy Reid slowly brought Donovan McNabb along, what they did with Patrick Mahomes last year in Kansas City. I think it's important to let these guys watch and learn before they're ready to really go out there and cut it loose.
Baltimore in the nickel. McCoy is in, 1st and 10. RPO, run play option, outside they go. Here is Curley spinning off one, and finally doused and tackled by C.J. Mosley. It is a gain of 4 to the 29. To our CBS studios in New York, and here is James Brown.
Talk about trying to take advantage of an opportunity.
Well, it's John Connor. He's going to score his first touchdown of his career. You can see right there, James Conner, 6 rushes, 26 yards, 2 catches, 17 receptions, and replace of Le'Veon Bell. They lead 7-0.
Back to Kev.
Second down and 6. Thank you, guys. LaShawn McCoy. Nice cut. Tried to hurdle. Then Marlon Humphrey is the one who grabbed his ankle and brought him down. The second-year player out of Alabama. Gain of 6. Flag is down. Out to the 35-yard line. Hockey League getting a workout today. Kind of has the same build as his dad. He got the guns. He's got the.
Both love the weight room.
His dad is here, by the way, Ed.
Holding. Offense number 62.
Another one.
A 10-yard penalty.
Jacoss.
Replay, second down.
Started 12 games last year at right guard. Now he's the left guard.
Well, he's going to get called for holding, and it's not. Actually, when he pulls and comes around the corner, he just grabs a hold of the defender.
Ravens bringing back this terrific defense of a year ago. All the starters return. Don Martindale now the new defensive coordinator. Second down, 14 for Buffalo. And going for the 6'5". Benjamin hit the deck, dropped the ball. Humphrey was covering on the play. He is their number one guy. They got him in a trade, remember last year, middle of last season from Carolina.
And watch Humphrey come in with his left arm. I mean, Benjamin has this ball, and then right at the last minute, you see Humphrey's going to come in with the left arm and pull it away. Good adjustment. Watch this left hand. He's going to come in there with the left hand and rip and strip.
Rip and strip. 3rd and 14.
Boy, third time the Bills have been third and long.
They need the 35. Peterman knocked away, incomplete, looking for Jones, who was covering that time. The number one pick last year, Marlon Humphrey, had 5 starts as a rookie. Good rookie season. And they force another punt by Buffalo.
I think there's something to be said for the continuity on the defensive side of the ball with the Ravens. Every starter returns on a unit that scored 5 touchdowns and led the league in takeaways and turnover differential. These guys know how to play together.
Bojorquez has punted for 45, 51, and 49 yards in the rain and wind. Gets a high long snap right there from Reed Ferguson. From the 29-yard line and trying to dance his way free after a 51-yard return last time is Grant, tackled by Holmes. 50-yard punt, 4-6 on the hang. The rookie punter doing a job, but the Bills are getting shut out.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by The Home Depot. More saving, more doing. Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And by Verizon. Now go mix and match family unlimited plans.
Edgar Allan Poe House, a museum here in Baltimore, a National Historic Landmark, originally built sometime around 1830. That's where the Ravens got their name, from the famous poem of Poe, The Raven. With a punt, 4th straight by Buffalo and 4 possessions. Flacco 1st and 10. Collins in the backfield. He's got a touchdown run today. Oh, they're coming through. He gets away from Hughes by the duck, and now he's on the run, and Edmonds will corral him at about the 30-yard line. The rookie looking good in the middle. It's a sack. There was no gain on the play. Flacco's afternoon so far.
Boy, he's gotten off to a really good start. He's driving the football in the rain. You see him throw it to his rookie tight end, Mark Andrews, out in the flat. And this, to me, was his best throw of the day. He sees the hole in the secondary. He drives this one in to his receiver, John Brown, and look at those numbers: 10 of 17, 115 yards and a touchdown.
Jackson's in again. Only one rookie starting quarterback this weekend, Sam Darnold for the Jets, after all those first-rounders taken. 2nd down and 10, Collins. He was originally hit and slowed down by Johnson. With a gain of 5, and he's out to the 35-yard line. You were talking about Flacco's large hands and how that helps on a day like this with a lot of wind and rain.
He's got big mitts, Kevin, and so, you know, slick balls don't really bother him. You see he's got the warmer, the hand warmer on there, but you know, I played golf with Joe Flacco. I've seen him take a 3-wood and hit it 315, 20 yards. I mean, he's got great power and strength, but he's got long levers. He's got long arms and big hands, which helps in bad weather.
His 11th season opener. Flacco. Buck Allen was in. A lot of traffic around Flacco. 3rd and 5. Drops incomplete. Coverage by Edmonds. They were going to the tight end that time. And it's incomplete. Here comes the punting unit. Steve's on our sideline. Steve Tasker.
Yeah, one of the other things about this weather is all these guys are sopping wet. Their pads, their clothes, their gloves, everything weighs about 15 or 20 pounds. And carrying that extra stuff around is going to bother the guys trying to catch these passes. You can't tuck the ball against your body. Your gloves and everything is slippery, and your arms are slippery as well. Ball security is going to be worse for everybody handling the ball from the quarterbacks than it is for the quarterbacks.
It's 4th and 5. So this penalty is going to be interesting.
Neutral zone infraction. Defense number 44. That 5-yard penalty results in a Baltimore first down.
Dion Lacey is called. Here comes the offense back out there for Baltimore with the penalty on Buffalo.
Well, he just jumps the gun. Then, boy, mistakes in the kicking game are killers, especially with an offense that's struggling to make first downs. Defense has been on the field way too much, Kevin, in the first half.
Last year, the passing attack for Buffalo was, or rather for Baltimore, was number 29. Flacco had a career worst 5.7 yards per attempt. Rich, trying to build on that, prove that this year. He's got more weapons than as we've talked about.
Yeah, they got to be able to stretch the field in the passing game, and that's why they went out and he put the ball on the ground.
Collins was hit initially and wrapped up by Edmonds, the very athletic rookie out of Virginia Tech, and it's going to be Buffalo's ball.
Well, this is why you go out and get Tremaine Edmonds. They had to get more athletic and more production in the middle of that defense, and that's why they moved up to 16 overall to draft Edmonds. He's got good initial quickness and reactions to runner pass. He's the one that's going to come down right here. He comes in and he gets his left arm on the ball and knocks it away from Alex Collins.
Looks like Shaq Lawson may have gotten his hands on that loose ball on the field.
That's a good looking tackle. You can see it right on the top of his helmet. He takes very good angles in pursuit. We saw that when we studied him at Virginia Tech. He's a big guy who can run. They are excited about Tremaine Edmonds. Now, if you're Buffalo, you've got to be able to do something with this takeaway. You've got to be able to turn this takeaway into points.
Timeout, Baltimore. You know, there's a question coming in, Rich, whether the Ravens today would dress both their backup quarterbacks. Lamar Jackson has played. Robert Griffin III was inactive, is inactive, and did practice beforehand. Did not play in the NFL last year, but he is back. They felt comfortable with the veteran still on that roster.
Yeah, and again, I think having him helps Lamar Jackson because I think they're similar type players. Flacco very different than what they have in Lamar Jackson, but you know, Kevin, I just think that we're going to, you look at the first game, we've already seen a number of times that Lamar Jackson's been in there. This is going to be a recurring theme, I think, throughout the course of the season.
Now they're jumping all over the place there, aren't they? Looked like maybe Brandon Williams on that defensive line. He's a good one.
Defense number 98. 5-yard penalty, first down.
In fact, you think, Rich, that he kind of dictates a lot of what goes on in that defense?
Well, he's a centerpiece of that defense, and I think a testament to his value and importance was what he meant last year. They had a league worst 170 yards a game rushing in the 3 or the 4 games that he wasn't available. He was sidelined with a foot injury. When he came back, he helped shore up that defense, and they really finished well in their run defense late in the season.
McCoy in, 1st and 5, into the nickel. Peterman, and broken up nicely on the play by Carr. He was going up against Kelvin Benjamin. Incomplete.
Well, Benjamin wasn't even looking for the ball until it was almost too late. Just watch the eyes of Benjamin. He doesn't look back and find the ball until it's almost too late. And the quarterback can help. You got to be able to give a receiver that's 6'5" a chance to make a play. A back shoulder throw there would have probably been the more effective way to go. Benjamin's not going to run by a lot of people, but you have to give him a chance to use his body in space.
2nd down 5, McCoy. Wrapped up there on that defensive line with a gain of a yard. There's the guy we're just talking about, Brandon Williams.
Well, his ability to anchor down and take on double teams is why they like Brandon Williams so much. He's the key to it all inside for that Ravens run defense.
Third and 4. This is the shortest 3rd down the Bills have faced today. Once and twice, and he goes down. Brought down by Terrell Suggs. 3rd sack, and for him, number 123 for the former Defensive Player of the Year. In full celebration, here comes the field goal unit for the Buffalo Bills.
Well, I just want you to watch the effort of T. Sizzle. I mean, initially he tries to beat Mills up the field. He comes back underneath. He's following the quarterback, and this is why you love Terrell Suggs. He's got a non-stop motor. Still one of the game's best.
Here's one of the best, too, in Stephen Hauschka. Bojorquez is a new holder. 52-yard try. Into the rain and wind, and it's no good. They got a great position at the 35 of Baltimore on a fumble by Collins. They could not convert. Here comes Suggs. Down goes Peterman. 8:43 in the first half. Suggs just got a sack for that Baltimore D, 3rd today. Missed field goal of 52. And oh my goodness, the tight end was off and to the races. That was Nick Boyle, who's had a very good start to this one. Flag is thrown.
Full start. Offense 86. 5-yard penalty. 1st down.
Well, we've got not a very nice day here, do we, Rich, for the opener in the season?
No, I mean, I mentioned, Kevin, if you're a quarterback, you just hate the rain. And so far, Flacco has handled the weather a whole lot better than Nathan Peterman. And Peterman just 2 of 8 for 7 yards. You have to wonder at some point if Sean McDermott would consider making a quarterback change.
Buck Allen was in, 1st and 15. Allen just dropped the ball. And the player is down, as you can see, and that is Johnson. Taron Johnson. Flag on the play again. We're in the preseason. We saw a lot of flags. I did the Philadelphia-Atlanta game Thursday. There were a lot of flags in that game, too. In fact, more in that game than any other game last year.
I think there's 2 reasons for it.
Offense number 86. 10-yard penalty. Replay. 2nd down.
Boyle.
I think there's 2 reasons for all the flags, Kevin. First of all, we see a ton of them in the kicking game. Why? We have so many rookies and inexperienced players playing in the kicking game that hadn't really done that in college. I think the other thing is the veterans don't even play anymore. So the speed of the game is so much different in the regular season than it is in the preseason. And I think we get some false starts, and we get some guys jumping the gun, and we get some holding penalties. So typically the first month of the season, we're still working through some of the odds and ends.
As we mentioned, Taron Johnson is down, and they're taking a look at him for the Buffalo Bills. The defense, which a season ago was 26th in the NFL.
Talk about a good form tackle. This is it right here. Look, he lowers, he leads with the shoulder. He puts his shoulder right on the football, knocks it out, but unfortunately he comes up.
We mentioned this earlier that Vontae Davis, along with Gaines, were in the mix to start today at the other cornerback. Davis, who is coming off that very serious groin tear last season when he played for the Colts, was a scratch before the game. Gaines getting the start, but also in the secondary with Taron Johnson. 1st and 25. With Flacco, and drilled as he throws. Caught by the tight end Max Williams, brought down by Philip Gaines. Raphael Butch, by the way, is taking the place of the injured Johnson. Gain of 7 on the play, put him at the 34.
Well, the protection's been pretty good for Joe Flacco. If you can sit back there and take 2 and 3 hitches and still have time to find your outlet, Max Williams on the boundary, you got to feel pretty good as you see Jerry Hughes come in there and get a lick on Flacco.
nickel secondary for Buffalo. Allen in the backfield, second down and 18. Short, and that is Buck Allen. And hit and brought down on the play by Matt Milano. It is a gain of a yard. He gets up to the 35.
Well, we know Flacco's got a big arm. He's extremely tough and durable. He's only missed a handful of starts over his career. I think it's 6 games in 10 years. So he'll sit in there, he'll take a hit. Where he has struggled in the past is when he's gotten lazy with his feet. He needs to make sure he pushes up and trust the protection.
People have criticized his mechanics lately, haven't they, Rich?
Yeah, but you know what? I'm talking to Marty Morningwig, the offensive coordinator, Kevin. He said this is as good as he has looked with his feet in the pocket.
They need the 48 of Buffalo. This is Chris Moore, who has really made a nice jump and improved and has garnered a lot of praise from his coaches. Poyer was there, Milano was there. It's a gain of 5. Moore made the grab. Flag is thrown. He's to the 40-yard line on the play. In fact, there are 2 flags on the play.
I always say footwork and accuracy are directly related. They go hand in hand. And Flacco's feet are good, Kevin. He can be very accurate from the pocket.
Illegal block in the back. Offense number 87. That penalty's declined. 4th down.
Punting unit is out there. And there you see Matt Williams.
We'll just watch the feet of Flacco. No indecision. When he is in rhythm, his feet are good and his body lean. When he's thrown off of the front foot and not the back foot, that's where he's at his best.
Curley is back for Sam Cook's Baltimore punt. And it'll be down. Hit there by Chuck Clark. And a 44-yard punt. Well, Mondays this fall, his name is a legend, but his adventures are just beginning. Don't miss the new Magnum PI. Premieres Mondays, September 24th on CBS. As you can see there in the background of that very colorful Magnum PI lower third, we see some shoving and pushing on the play. Looks like one of the defensive backs, Jones of the Buffalo Bills, over there getting involved in it.
Well, it's been an ugly day so far for the Bills offense. You look, just 13 yards of offense. They've been held without a first down on all 5 possessions.
I meant running back. I said Taiwan Jones. Running back Taiwan Jones, not defensive back.
They need to get something going. Problem is, you don't have a lot of history with Nathan Peterman. You've got a new play caller, Kevin, who's still trying to figure out these young quarterbacks.
It's McCoy on 1st and 10. Judon from behind. Flag is thrown. Gain of 5 on the play. He's up near the 25-yard line.
Holding. Offense number 85. Half the distance to the goal. Replay. 1st down.
That's Charles Clay.
Well, the frustration, you look at the challenges. You got a new offensive coordinator in Brian Daboll. He was a long-time assistant in the NFL. And, you know, he was in Alabama, did a terrific job with their quarterbacks last year. But he's still trying to figure out these young quarterbacks.
Yeah, he's been under Saban as a coach, under Belichick as a coach. Half the distance, so 1st and 18. Peterman. And that is caught by Benjamin, who in turn is lassoed by Brandon Carr. Taking the place of the suspended Jimmy Smith. It's a gain of 10, and he's up to about the 18.
Well, you got to think about matchups. And you got some players that can be real difference makers, and one of them is that man right there, and Kelvin Benjamin. He is a gigantic receiver capable of really physically dominating opposing quarterbacks, particularly in the red zone. But you've got to find a way to get him his touches.
2nd down and 8. Incomplete for Marcus Murphy. So the Peterman story is well known. Wormley was applying pressure. Peterman beat out A.J. McCarron, who has since been traded to Oakland. He beat out the number 7 pick, Josh Allen. You know, really, when you think about it, Rich, going back a couple months, Peterman could have been the odd man out in this whole scenario, as you talked about earlier.
Well, he probably should have been. I mean, you know, look, McCarron struggled. They've moved on from him, but it was Peterman who had the best camp of all of them. He was the most consistent, the most productive, and I think the most steady. And that's why he got the start here today.
3rd and 8.
Comes the blitz.
He's got time, though. And a wobbly throw is intercepted on the play. Picked up by Jefferson. Flag thrown inside the 30 of Buffalo. The former Arizona Cardinal, Tony Jefferson, who was never really fully healthy last season after a hernia.
Well, they bring the blitz, they pick it up.
That penalty decline. The play results in an interception. First down, Baltimore.
Well, they pick it up. You see the blitz to the left. He's got good protection. And this ball just gets away from him. I mean, it just sails on him. And when it's wet and it's slick, this can happen. But you've got a receiver that's 6'5". You've got to give him a chance. Late throws down the middle. Tony Jefferson just waiting on the easy pick from Peterman.
Allen in the backfield. Williams got back. Here's a 1st and 10 loss in his block. Flacco's got time. He goes against the grain for Buck Allen, who is drilled in the play by Alexander. Incomplete.
It's a couple times now they've tried to throw this throwback pass. You see Flacco roll all the way to his right. He's trying to get Buck Allen up the boundary, and Lorenzo Alexander is just waiting there to lay the boom. He puts his shoulder pad right in the chest of the running back.
The defensive captain, Alexander.
He's a smart player, Kevin.
2nd down and 10 into the nickel. Buck Allen. And he'll push the pile down to the 25-yard line. He picks up 4. Here's Kyle Williams. He is in. Missed a lot of camp time, battling a knee in camp, but he's back starting today. Coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report. Join JB, Phil, Nate Boomer, and Coach Cowher for scores and highlights all over the NFL on this opening weekend. All next in the Verizon Halftime Report from our CBS studios in New York. Rain is picked up. And Allen is picked up out there by Poyer. On that 3rd down and 6, he picks up 5. Horizontal rain here in Baltimore today to the 21. 4th down, and they're going to bring out the field goal unit.
What a luxury to have the best kicker in football.
Yep.
He's only missed 4 kicks in his last 2 years. The most accurate kicker in NFL history, over 90%.
Now he's making commercials here, so I'm doing some.
I saw that.
Coffee or something yesterday.
He's a popular guy here in town. He should be. And what a luxury. Just get inside the 50, and this guy's good.
He's hit 20 straight going back to last year. 39-yard try right here. Wind and rain and a high snap. That does not foil the attempt by Justin Tucker. From 39, 21 straight, and the lead 20-0 for Baltimore. They had 3 shutouts a year ago. We'll be back in 30 after this from AARP. We're back in Baltimore as Peterman continues to warm up on that sideline. We're just talking off the air. You know, it's 20 zip. It's going to be a tough one for the Bills. There's no doubt. Would they you think, putting in the rookie Josh Allen out of Wyoming?
Well, he's the better pure passer. He's got a big arm, but it's a tough spot to put him in.
Tucker, and that rain is really coming down hard. Murphy at the goal line. To the 25-yard line.
You know, we were talking about quarterbacks, Kevin. The turnover at the quarterback position this year in our league is stunning. You've got 15 new quarterbacks that didn't start week 1 for their team last year. That's the most since the league expanded to 32 teams back in 2002. And I always talk about this. Either you have one or you're looking for one. And the Bills right now are in the process of trying to figure out who their long-term starter is going to be. They know it's Josh Allen, but when is he going to be ready to play?
This is McCoy on 1st and 10. You can see the big-time hit right there by Williams and a gain of a yard. He's up to the 26-yard line.
And if you can't throw it, then it just makes things all that more difficult for your best offensive player in LeSean McCoy. It becomes a one-dimensional game, and he's not nearly as effective. They got to find a way to throw him the football, some screens. You got to find a way to get 25 in space.
7th possession for the Bills. They punted 4 times. They had 1 picked off, and they missed a field goal. 2nd and 9. The backpedaling catch by McCoy. Coverage on the play, and the tackle made by Humphrey, excuse me. Humphrey makes the stop, and they say now incomplete. So he did not hold on, and Humphrey once again is there with a nice defensive play.
But Marlon Humphrey has played well so far. If the ground causes that ball to come out, or we've redefined the catch rule, right? Control 2 feet down or another body part, and the ability to perform a football move.
3rd and 9. 6 defensive backs. Peterman on the run. It's Smith forcing him out of bounds. Zadarius Smith racing against that second-year Pitt quarterback Peterman. Gain of a yard. Out of bounds. Here comes the punting unit.
Well, Peterman has the ability to make some plays and extend plays with his legs. Look at the stiff arm he gives Smith. Boy, a third and longs. That's been the issue so far for the Bills. The fact that they can't get anything done on first down, and they find themselves in these 3rd and long situations against this Ravens defense.
Bojorquez.
Kevin, he's been the bright spot so far. This rookie punter, I've been impressed.
Grant bobbles the ball, and it's recovered by. Well, it goes out of bounds. Holmes had a chance at it.
No, he never got possession of it.
He sure didn't.
You see that side judge there.
It's a muff.
Boy, they had an opportunity. Jones was right there to make the play, and he doesn't get it. And then you're going to see Holmes come in, and he can't get a hold of it. Boy, the Ravens dodged a bullet. Look at Jones. All he's got to do is slide on it, right? So then now the ball comes out. There's Holmes. He's got it. Now he knocks it out. And I think eventually the ball goes out of bounds.
They had 2 offensive guys down there. Taiwan Jones is a running back, the ex-Raider, who was out there and just about had the ball. And there he is, and he couldn't.
Ball slippery, Kevin. And so is the ground, and so is your jersey and your arms. It's like a hot potato.
Awful wet.
You work on these wet ball drills a lot in practice, but man, it is coming down hard here in Baltimore.
Let me ask you this, Rich. Will there be a time in the second half you think they put in Lamar Jackson, but with the Baltimore Ravens as quarterback, if they got a sizable lead?
Oh, sure. Absolutely. Look, you got to be smart with Flacco. Kid, if you got a good lead, then, but, you know, I think not initially. I think you want to run the football if you got a big lead, and I don't think you take Flacco out of the game in that situation.
So Buffalo recovered, but they were out of bounds when they recovered, and so it's the ball right now. Crabtree on 1st and 10. Thrown out of bounds by Gaines, and picking up 5, and he's up to the 21-yard line.
Well, Crabtree's really going to help on 3rd down and in the red zone with his size and catching radius. He uses his body so well. Great body control, sure hands, and a very creative route runner. When you talk about the importance of upgrading at that position, it was a real weakness a season ago. They've moved on from almost all their receivers, and of course Crabtree, Brown, and Snead have Flacco and this offense excited.
2nd down 4. Here's the block. Right tackle. There's Crabtree once again. He picks up 19. He's out to the 41-yard line. That is a 1st down. That takes us to the 2-minute warning. Flacco a touchdown pass, Collins a touchdown run, and that defense throwing a shutout at the Bills. From Baltimore on CBS.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by AARP. Take on today with AARP Real Possibilities. And by FedEx. Possibilities. What we deliver by delivering.
A lot of great places to eat here in Baltimore. Crab cakes. Very true. There was Crabtree out there. Here's Flacco on 1st and 10 after the 19-yard completion. Buck Allen has it. Milano has him. Gain of 3 to the 44. Crabtree just caught one for 19 yards. 2 receptions here in the first half in his Ravens debut. 2nd and 7. And now they go to the tight end, the wide receiver, Willie Snead. 20-yard catch and run by Snead. So the new receivers putting their fingerprints on this revamped core and offense of Baltimore. They're down to the 34. 20-yard reception.
They're really excited about Willie Snead. He's a receiver who can work inside between the numbers. John Harbaugh referred to him as a chain mover. Good quickness. He's got a good understanding for the type of coverage, whether it's man or zone. He finds those holes in zone coverage between the linebackers and safeties.
From New York, they're putting together the Verizon halftime report for you with JB, Phil, Nate, Boomer, and Coach Bill Cowher with scores, news, and highlights all next on the Verizon halftime report.
The other thing about Willie Snead is you know what you're getting. He worked with Sean Payton and he worked with a future Hall of Famer in Drew Brees. He knows how to work in the middle of the field.
John Brown, by the way, he caught one on the first drive of the game for 29. We had a 19-yard reception by Crabtree moments ago and a 20-yard reception by Snead. 1st and 10. And nice play by Kyle Williams. Read it well and brings down Buck Allen. Loss of 4 on the play. And he's back to about the 30, make it 49, 40-yard line.
Kyle Williams is a difficult player to fool. He's so smart inside and just plays with a great deal of energy and passion. I love watching Kyle Williams play.
Hughes is off.
Throw it away.
Looking at
dangerous throw.
There's John Brown, who gets his 2nd reception today. Flacco gaining 8 right there.
Well, this helps when you're 6'6". You can see across the field. You can see over big linemen. Dangerous throw, though, from Joe Flacco. Throwing across your body and across the field. This is an area, Kevin, the Ravens have been very good. Inside 2 minutes in the first half.
3rd and 6. That's Snead. And he was brought down by Raphael Bush, who's taken the place of the injured Taron Johnson. Gain of 12 on 3rd and 6. Timeout Baltimore. They're down to the 20-yard line of Buffalo.
This is an area where they were very effective a season ago in their 2-minute offense. You see Flacco having no issues with those laces and that grip.
Clearly they worked on with wet footballs this week in practice, knowing that rain was headed for this game.
Absolutely.
True?
I mean, John Harbaugh leaves no stone unturned when it comes to preparation. Actually, the weather on Friday was really good. You look at Flacco, 21 completions already. Nathan Peterman's thrown, Kevin, just for 17 yards, 3 of 12. As you look at him over there on the sidelines. And
1st and 10. That's up the middle. They're just picking apart that middle. That's Andrews who makes the grab. Hit by Bush. Gain of 8. Baltimore out of timeouts. Buffalo's got their 3. 2nd down and 2 from the 12. Flacco to the end zone. And Crabtree's got it. Was he in? They confer. Touchdown. Michael Crabtree.
Well, this is why you go out and get Michael Crabtree. We talked about the size and the playmaking ability down here in the red zone. Gaines never finds the ball, but what a great touch throw from Flacco. I mean, he puts this in the only place he possibly can in the back corner of the end zone.
Did you see him get that?
What
last
a great
foot in?
job with
terrific.
a toe tap from the veteran receiver.
My goodness. High pick by San Francisco last couple years in Oakland, and here he is with Baltimore.
What a great throw by Flacco. It's the only place he could have put it. Wasn't bad coverage from Gaines. He just never is able to find the football.
They're going to go for 2 with Flacco still in there. So Flacco has thrown 2 touchdown passes, 7 yards to Brown, the new receiver, 12 yards right there to Crabtree, the new receiver. Going for 2 right here with Allen in the backfield. Hughes from behind. Incomplete for Brown. Coverage by Bush. They'll stay 26 zip. 13 seconds to go. You know, there's no doubt that this was kind of they're on the verge of a transition here. There's an owner who at the end of last season acknowledged that he thought about some changes. We know that the general manager, Ozzie Newsome, is retiring from his GM spot. He'll be a consultant, and then Eric DeCosta will take over. We've got a first-round quarterback in Lamar Jackson for the 33-year-old Flacco, who still has years left, but you can just sense there's change in the offing.
Well, they've got to win. I think John Harbaugh knows that. The staff knows it. They're 38-36 since the Super Bowl, and it just hasn't been good enough. They've missed the playoffs 3 straight seasons. They know they have to get better in certain areas, and I think most importantly, it's the production and the consistency at the quarterback position. Flacco, Kevin, hasn't been healthy, and he's struggled, quite frankly, the last couple seasons.
But he was injured and had no practice time during the week on a ground ball right here. That's picked up by Murphy. Trying to find a little room, and you can see that he is slipping and sliding by folks, and Chuck Clark brings him down. 36-yard return.
Couple big catches on that last drive from Michael Crabtree, and I mentioned his size. You love those bigger receivers in the middle of the field, and then this is where I think Crabtree is really going to help Flacco this season. Last year, when you look at where the production was in the red zone, it was the tight ends and backs. They didn't have that go-to receiver in that part of the field. They do so now with Crabtree. Derek Carr loved Michael Crabtree, Kevin, the last couple years in Oakland because of his size and his leaping ability in that part of the field.
Kicking team, 5 yards will be added to the end of the play. First down, Buffalo.
So the Bills offense coming into this season opening game with an inexperienced quarterback, an unknown offensive line. Defense, which is pretty good on a couple levels. It really emerged in the secondary last year. And Sean McDermott, who took his team at 9-7 to a playoff a season ago, kind of surprised some people. But they alerted people quite clearly when Taylor was sent away that they need to kind of bring it back, maybe take a step or two backwards, Rich, get some new guys in there, get a lot of dead money off their cap and attack next year and beyond.
They're starting over on offense. I mean, they've got, essentially 3 new starters along the offensive line. You got a new quarterback, a new play caller. They weren't good enough on offense a season ago.
Jason Kroom, the tight end, gets it. 8-yard throw by Peterman. We're at halftime. A couple touchdown passes by Flacco. And look at that. The Ravens have never held a vote to 0 first downs and a half. They're shutting out the Buffalo Bills. They had 3 shutouts a season ago. Halftime next after this first half highlight from Verizon. And a word from your local CBS station. Rain not letting up here in Baltimore. 26-zip with the Ravens over the Buffalo Bills. Flacco has thrown 2 touchdown passes as we take a look at the first half highlight presented by DirecTV. Flacco finding his newest weapon, Michael Crabtree, for the touchdown. And that was a 12-yarder. So everything is clicking with all these new weapons for Flacco, Rich. You can see that this offense is generating a lot. What does Buffalo have to do here in the second half?
Well, I think you got to forget the score. I mean, you really do. I mean, most likely not going to win this game. So really focus on execution, right? You look at the struggles that they've had, just 33 yards of offense. They haven't had a single first down. So fine, look, let's go out in the second half, try and make some plays and some first downs, and so we have something to build on for next week. Let's try and carry some momentum and some confidence into what we're trying to do as an offense. It has been awful in the first half. A lot of things have contributed to that. Obviously, the struggles on first down. You've got changes up front. You've got a new play caller. You've got an inexperienced quarterback. You go up against a great defense on the road. But, man, you got to show me something here in the second half.
Justin Tucker, who had field goals of 41 and 39 yards in that first half, kicking that out of the end zone. Murphy lets it fly back to the 25 and a touchback into the sideline, and Steve Tasker.
Yeah, I spoke to Sean McDermott and John Harbaugh as they came off the field. Sean McDermott said just exactly what you said, Rich. Listen, they just got to start taking some baby steps in the positive direction. They can't let this game get away like they have in the first half. Field position's been an issue. Defensively, he's a little more happy. Offensively, he just wants them to get something going, a little bit of rhythm. I talked to John Harbaugh as well. He said, listen, I just wish I wouldn't have gone for 2 there at the end of the half. And also, I asked him about maybe playing Lamar Jackson. He said, probably not, but it's a thought. We play Thursday night. tonight. I'd love to get some of my starters a rest if we can put this away till the fourth quarter.
Interesting. Thank you. Peterman under center, 1st and 10. McCoy. Reversing field and got a block on the play by Jordan Mills. And forced out of bounds, as you can see, by Brandon Carr. As he zigzags the field and picks up 12 there, Rich.
Yeah, you just get a sense for the suddenness with LeSean McCoy's ability to put his foot in the ground and all of a sudden change direction.
Can you believe that's the first down, Rich, for the Buffalo offense today?
Well, we talked about it, Kevin. Forget the score. Let's just go out and try and execute here in the second half and have some pride.
1st and 10, 2-yard gain. McCoy hit on the play by 3-time Pro Bowler C.J. Mosley.
The Ravens have talked all week about setting the edge. Force McCoy to run between the tackles and not outside, because that's where he's most comfortable and also most effective.
Ravens in the secondary have 5. 2nd down and 8. Peterman down. Nice play defensively. Wormley, a 3rd-round pick out of Michigan last year.
You see the effort there by Wormley. Look at the extension. Maybe he played basketball in high school. That's pretty good effort there.
A lot of these guys do. He's from Toledo, Ohio. One of the best defensive players in the state of Ohio. Better than track and field and football. No basketball. He's got some size, doesn't he? 3rd and 8. Murphy was back there, adds protection. The throw by Peterman and incomplete, and they're going for Jason Kroom.
And what you're seeing is a lot of tight coverage. They didn't want to give Peterman any free access throws in terms of playing off and easy completions on 1st down. So all the throws have been contested. And that's what you're going to get against a secondary that plays a lot of press man-to-man coverage at the line of scrimmage. They make you earn every completion.
Bojorquez, in his first NFL game, has been one of the bright spots, as Rich mentioned, back in the first half with his punting. This will be his 6th punt of the game.
He's going to be sore tomorrow. Okay, I'm going to have to wear him out.
Got to get the ball. Got to get the ball. Bouncing around, slip by guys. Ball with all kinds of grease on it. Looks like the punter got it, but he's down, and Baltimore is going to take over at the 13.
Well, he didn't have a single punt in the preseason.
Nope.
And he was doing well, but this ball just goes right through his hands.
2nd turnover.
Not a bad snap. You see it just goes right through his hands. You watch his hands. You see how red they are? That is actually the leather from the football. And when the ball gets so wet, you just see how red the hands are. It's hard. You see, and you can see how wet the ball is. You see the shine coming off the football. Tough spot to be in.
Hey, odd niner! Odd niner! Rocky 49! White! Dodge! 180! It's not!
Collins in the backfield, 1st and 10 for Joe Flacco. Blocked by Hurst. Out it goes to Collins. Out of bounds and chased well by Lorenzo Alexander. 12-year veteran out of Cal. A gain of 6 through the air.
Flacco's done a nice job. When it's not there, he's come off his primary and found the tight ends and the backs for some easy completions. Done a nice job working through his progressions.
I've seen John Harbaugh smile more today than I have in 2 years.
Hey, look, when you're up 26-0 and the other team has a difficult time making 1st downs, it's...
Collins in 2nd down and 4. Alexander again had him around the waist, and falling on him was Hughes. After the gain of 5, they take it down to the 3, and he's got the 1st down. Goal to go.
You see the kick out from Max Williams and the lead by the fullback, and see Alex Collins just poured up inside. A nice blend of quickness and power. He runs behind his pads with some patience and good vision.
Two touchdown passes by Flacco today. 1st and goal. And now he's got 3. Boyle. Flag.
Might call a pick there.
Yeah, they might.
That's why Boyle was so wide open.
Offense number 83. 10-yard penalty. Replay, first down.
On Snead.
Well, he's outside of Boyle, and see what happens is you're going to get this cross, and the defender covering Boyle gets picked. He gets caught up in the wash. You can't lead with your hands. That's where Snead gets himself in trouble. No problem you going in there, but you can't extend. Once they see the hands extend, they're going to call that one every time. It's the right call.
So you can block.
Well, you can't block on a pass play. When he goes in there to block,
Guys
you can't block the defender.
Guy's got to have the ball. First and goal, 13-yard line. Snead, slicing touchdown. Great throw. Terrific run. 32-0 Baltimore.
Well, we think about these run-pass options with quarterbacks like Lamar Jackson. How about Joe Flacco with an RPO? You're going to see the back come across, and right here. And watch the draw that this gets with the linebacker. See, he reacts to the run. That opens up a huge gap and a window in the middle of that Buffalo secondary.
Rich, you talked about the new weapons. He's got Crabtree, Snead, and Brown. Each have caught a touchdown today.
Kevin, it's like you think back to when you were a kid at Christmas time on your birthday. You come down, you open up all those gifts. That's what Flacco's got. He's got a bunch of new gifts.
Tucker makes it 33-0 Baltimore. 12.5
Brown,
in the third.
Crabtree, Weddle.
The butter bubbled
Snead.
it.
You gotta love it.
Snead takes it in for 6. All veterans and all have had a chance to make their mark on their first appearance as a Raven.
And when you have an area that was such a weakness a season ago, you go out and you spend the money to improve, and they did that in a big way. Crabtree, Brown, Snead, all veteran players that have had success in other places and bring instant credibility and production to the wide receiver position.
Justin Tucker will kick it off to Marcus Murphy. Levine got a hold of him as he was backpedaling past the 26-yard return out to the 27-yard line. So you got 2 young quarterbacks, 2 first-round picks on the bench on both sides.
Not a great spot to be in, really, if you think about it, Kevin. You want a veteran quarterback, right? The Bills don't have that. Peterman's almost a rookie. He played in 2 games last year. And so he's going to continue to play until they really feel like, you know, that man right there, Josh Allen's ready to play. And we know about Allen. He's got the mobility for a taller quarterback, played a pro-style offense at Wyoming, but I just don't think they feel like he's ready to play in week 1.
First and 10. Almost picked off by Smith. And the guy up the middle, this Michael Pierce, came right up the gap, rocketing toward the quarterback. Incomplete pass, as we saw.
Yeah, and he gets an arm on the ball, and still, though, you got to be able to see throws. This is a dangerous throw from Peterman, although his right arm gets hit by Michael Pierce. They like Pierce as much as
they do.
They're going to try and rotate Pierce and Williams to keep Brandon Williams fresh throughout the season.
Second down 10, LaShawn McCoy looking for some blocking, but all that's over there in Avalanche white jerseys, Jefferson and company. Nice play, too, by Brent Urban. Loss of a yard on the play. They go back to the 26-yard line.
Well, when your 1,000-yard rusher from a season ago has 17 yards on 6 carries and you've got an inexperienced quarterback, you're going to struggle. And they've got to do something on first down. I think you got to start working outside the numbers. They've got size at the wide receiver position. I mentioned, you know, Benjamin's 6'5", Holmes is 6'4", Streeter's 6'3", Jones is 6'2". Start taking advantage of some of their height on the outside.
6 defensive backs, and one of them just picked him off. Brandon Carr. He's got room. He gets a block, and he takes it deep into Buffalo territory. Did he get in? No, he's shy on that sideline. The veteran Brandon Carr, with another interception thrown by Peterman, his second today.
Well, this is ugly. Brandon Carr, he just runs the route for the receiver. I mean, he just beats Benjamin right across his face, and that's not very good. You see the hit that Peterman takes at the end of this throw, but they're just sitting on these underneath routes, and you see Weddle. They bring a lot of perimeter pressure. This is a secondary that had 8.5 sacks a season ago. That was the most in football.
20th career interception by Carr, who's played for the Chiefs, Dallas, and first year in Baltimore, taking the place of the suspended Jimmy Smith for violating the NFL's personal conduct policy. Get a veteran like Carr in that slot, and we've got a stoppage of play. They're going to take a look at it one more time. If you're just joining us, we've had constant rain, sometimes harder than others. Flacco has thrown 3 touchdown passes. Peterman has thrown 2 interceptions. 2 teams that were 9-7 a year ago. The Buffalo Bills edged out Baltimore on a tiebreaker for the final wild card spot a year ago, led by quarterback Tyrod Taylor. Now it's Peterman, and it's a new year for the Bills.
I want to see if he stepped out of bounds on this interception. Look at the blocking. You see all these white jerseys come in. I'd like to see him have the ball in the outside hand. Keep an eye on that right foot.
They look at it on a replay. 11:26 in the third.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Walmart. Discover more ways to shop at Walmart today. Fidelity Investments. And by Domino's. Order online at Domino's.com.
They have put him at the 1 after looking at this.
Well, they're looking at this foot.
Buck Allen, touchdown. Submarining his way, another touchdown. And the lead continues to build for the Baltimore Ravens. Collins had an 8-yard touchdown run on the game-opening drive, and now Buck Allen takes it in from a yard, and they cash in on the Peterman interception by Brandon Carr.
Now look at the push up front. That's just good hard running down there in the red zone. Good red zone teams have the ability to run the ball in this part of the field. We're getting Marshall beyond the back makes a big difference up front for that Ravens offensive line.
This is Tucker, who makes it 40-0 with 11:22 to play in the third quarter. Meaning we've got a lot of information we got to dig out of the bucket. Next Sunday, CBS continues its Super Bowl season with a great doubleheader. Chiefs will take on Pittsburgh. Then it's a rematch of last year's AFC Championship. Brady and the Patriots against Jacksonville and their terrific D. The day kicks off with the NFL Today on the road to Super Bowl 53 on CBS. Rich, along with Cleveland's Baker Mayfield, Arizona's Josh Rosen, the Bills' Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, there's only one rookie first-round pick who is starting this first weekend in the NFL, and that is Sam Darnold with the Jets. That'll be tomorrow night in Detroit.
And they're desperate, like the Bills, Kevin, for a franchise quarterback, and they've been at it for a while, as have the Bills. And, you know, the Bills drafted a number of different quarterbacks over the years. It's been a while since the great Jim Kelly, the Hall of Fame quarterback, and they're hoping that Josh Allen can be that guy. Drafted 7 quarterbacks since Jim Kelly retired. The previous 6, none have posted a winning record with the team. Had 11 different opening day quarterbacks since 1997, and that's no way to run a franchise.
There we go.
Well, that didn't take too long now, did it?
I've been talking about it.
Well, he throws the ball well on the move outside the pocket. He has got a cannon for an arm. He can push the ball down the field. He'll be aggressive. He needs, like most quarterbacks, young signal callers, he needs work on accuracy and decision making, but I'm excited for his chance to play.
From the 25, Allen 1st and 10. Murphy, and he's gobbled up from behind by Chris Wormley, a gain of 3.
Well, he's a gunslinger. This is a guy that can throw the ball all over the field. He's a taller quarterback. He's got some good mobility and good feet. He really helped put Wyoming back on the map the last couple seasons.
Second down, 7.
There you go.
And it's incomplete, looking for Zay Jones.
He is a much better thrower of the football than Nathan Peterman. He's got better arm talent. He had a tough time of it in the preseason. He started that 3rd preseason game against Cincinnati. He got knocked around. He was under constant pressure. He got sacked 5 times, hit about another 8 or 9 times, and that's a little bit of the concern. You've got a rebuilt offensive line and a rookie quarterback, not a great combination.
Allen, 3 years at Wyoming. Before that at Reedley College. 3rd down, 7. Another sack, 4th. And that is registered by Zadarius Smith. 4th Baltimore sack. Of course, they were one of the top sack teams in the NFL a season ago.
Well, man and man across the field. Go ahead and run it. Now you tell me where he's supposed to throw the football. Go ahead and stop it. I mean, there's nobody open. This is hard. Tough way to make a living. Somebody has to win against man-to-man coverage. Somebody has to create separation. And that has been a problem throughout the first 35 minutes of this game.
Bojorquez, a left footer, not very good. He bobbled the last one. And this one off the side of his foot. They got a bounce. Rolled 46 yards total. Timeout. 10:01 to play in the 3rd from Baltimore. Well, they're showing Joe Flacco on the board here. He threw 3 touchdown passes in the game. He was virtually perfect with his throwing. 25 of 34, 236, no picks, and 3 touchdowns. Hit 8 different receivers. The new quarterback is Jackson. And he hands off right off the bat here on 1st and 10 to Kenneth Dixon, who loses 3 yards. So let's talk about Lamar Jackson, Rich, and what you've seen.
Well, I just see a ton of production when you really study him at Louisville over the last couple of years. Kevin really reached historic levels when you look at what he was able to accomplish. He's a dynamic player who makes some great plays with his feet.
Let's see if he does it right here. Second, a little shimmy as he goes outside on that 2nd down and 13. And forced out of play as he former Heisman Trophy winner out of Louisville, played for Bobby Petrino. 32nd pick. The Ravens, Rich, actually traded up to get him in the 1st round.
Yeah, scored 50 touchdowns in 3 seasons. And he will cause any defense to adjust their approach because of his ability to move the pocket and his ability to kind of extend plays and run. I mean, he is an outstanding runner.
Dixon remains. It is 39 for Jackson.
Tough guy to sack. There you go.
Unless you're Kyle Williams. He gets him down low.
Trent Murphy.
Trent Murphy up high. Murphy playing in his 1st game in 2 years. 2nd sack by Buffalo. Williams and Murphy combining right there, and it's 4th down. Here comes the punting unit.
What you got to do is you got to set the edge and force him to step up and function as a pocket passer. You can't give him a 2-way go. Good job with their rush lanes.
Sam Cook to punt. Jeremy Curley is back for the Buffalo Bills. From the 31-yard line, Curley. Reese Kennedy, who's playing with a thigh injury and a little bit limited, allows just a 6-yard return, and we'll get another look at Josh Allen. So 2 rookie 1st-round draft choices in the game with Baltimore in control.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by AT&T. More for your thing. That's our thing. And by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Back Back in June, more than 150 Ravens players, coaches, alumni, and staff members helped build a playground in downtown Baltimore, partnering with the national nonprofit organization Kaboom. Fourth playground the Ravens have been involved with and started and finished. Josh Allen in, 1st and 10. After the punt by Baltimore, he's on the run. He's got a first down, slide into near midfield, and hit by Board, 11-yard run.
Well, the Ravens defense today has been relentless. They've swarmed the quarterback. They've got him on the ground. They've put pressure on him. They've taken the ball away. And you and I were just talking a moment ago, Kevin. Peterman's numbers, 5 of 18, 24 yards passing, and 2 picks.
Running again for another first down is Josh Allen.
This is the thing I liked about Josh Allen when I really studied him in college. He's a taller quarterback that's a good athlete. I mean, he can make some plays with his legs. Not afraid to pull it down and run for a first down.
Well, he just had a 14-yard run right there to the 38, and 11 the play before. 1st and 10 from the 38 of Baltimore. That was the longest Bills play of the day on offense. Look out. Suggs just about had him and throws it away. Wow, they just had Judon took the quarterback and drilled him into the sideline. I am surprised there was not a flag. Play is over.
Well, Judon
was just standing there, right?
Just never got out of the way. He's like, hey, that's your welcome to the NFL moment, rookie.
Kind of stuck his shoulder in there.
It's not going to make it easy on him.
Wormley was chasing. 2nd down and 10.
You notice the offense looks a little bit different, though, with Josh Allen in there. You're seeing a little more open sets. They're spreading the defense out, and they're letting him go to work a little bit in the passing game. More shotgun formations, and certainly the score has something to do with that as well, down 40-0.
Please reset the game clock to 7:03. The pass was incomplete. 2nd down.
Sean McDermott, who did such a terrific job a year ago, but had a veteran quarterback, a former Raven, Tyrod Taylor. 2nd down and 10 right here.
I can't imagine he envisioned how this was going to unfold today, with Josh Allen getting a chance to play early here in the second half.
From the 38-yard line, Chris Ivory's first carry today. Good tackle made by C.J. Mosley after a gain of 3 to the 35. You know, for the Bills, Rich, 3 of their first 4 on the road, 5 of their first 7 games this year on the road. Tough way for a team like this to start the season.
Yeah, the challenge that they're going to have is getting this offense up to speed, because you can tell they've got some work to do to be competitive.
3rd and 7, sliding catch by Andre Holmes in front of Carr. Picks up 14 to the 21. That's a first down for Buffalo.
Nice job working through the progression. He's going to start to his right. He comes all the way back to his left, and you get a sense for that arm talent that he has. He can really drive the football, and he's another quarterback, Kevin, like Flacco, who's got big hands.
Ivory from Allen. He's a hard runner, as you can see, and we've seen it in New Orleans and with the Jets. Mosley, along with a couple others, Clark all bringing him down, gain of 2 on the play, put him at the 19-yard line of the Ravens.
Well, Buffalo went out and upgraded the backup spot behind McCoy in adding Chris Ivory. He offers a different, more contact-based running style. Give you the attitude runs up inside. You see an empty backfield set, and this is really what Allen likes, getting 5 receivers out in the route.
He's facing a 2nd down and 8 and looks into the nickel. Progressions, chased, Smith from behind. It's about the 16, gain of 2, flag.
Personal foul. Unnecessary roughness. Defense number 99. The penalty is half the distance to the goal. First down.
I don't think Judon likes Josh Allen. Just watch him come in here at the end. He puts his right forearm right in the face of Josh Allen.
Well, they were John on the sideline when Judon was standing over there and then kind of leaned his shoulder into Allen, who was running at the sideline. You know, there's a lot of pride, Rich, when a defense has a shutout, and they had 3 of them for the Ravens last year. You take a lot of pride in that, but right now Buffalo threatening with a 1st and goal at the 8. In a game which clearly is Baltimore's. LaShawn McCoy. He's inside the 5, and Jefferson jumps on him after a gain of 4 near the 3.
That was interesting in talking.
Oh my goodness, you see Levine.
Oh wow.
Or Young, excuse me. Kenny Young.
He just pushes him right here. Watch this. Just watch at the end. A little shove.
Deion Dawkins, the left tackle.
Yep. He pushes him, and then he just takes a dive.
With a little uppercut. He's gone.
If your passion or self-interest come before your obligation to your team, then you put yourself and your team at risk. And that's exactly what Sean McDermott's talking to him about, keeping your poise.
Unnecessary roughness. Offense 3 after the play was over. 15 yards. 2nd down.
Dawkins started the last 11 games at left tackle last season for Cordy Glenn. Glenn has since been traded to Cincinnati. He played 5 games.
We've got a new center.
Yep.
We've got a new left guard. A lot of changes up front. Eric Wood retired. Richie Incognito not playing. They traded Cordy Glenn, as you said, Kevin. It looks different up front, and that affects the running back. We talked to LaShawn McCoy last night a little bit, and he said that it looks different. You've got to get used to some of those double teams and how they block the front.
Marshall Newhouse, by the way, the new left tackle. 2nd goal at the 18 and a flag.
False start. Offense, number 62. 5 yards. Still 2nd down.
Ducasse.
Well, you just see the false start here. Try to mix in the hard count. You just see Ducasse jump.
Ducasse, a veteran of 9 years. 2nd goal at the 23. Josh Allen. Newhouse a block at the left tackle. And incomplete, flag on Carr, who was covering Benjamin. You ever play in a game like this, Rich, where it's a 40-0 drilling of one team and emotions get high and heated?
Defense out of the foul.
He didn't like the fact he got his face mask grabbed. That's what Carr's complaining about. To answer your question, Kevin, if I did, I don't remember it. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
This is this is very unusual. We don't see this in our league very often. One team just simply getting outplayed in really all 3 phases of the game: offense, defense, and in the kicking game.
McCoy in with DeMarco in the eye. 1st and goal at the 3, and they stop it again. Timeout, Baltimore.
Timeout, Baltimore. 1st, 3rd, 2nd, timeout.
We might have 12 men on the field.
Rich, you mentioned before, you're talking about preseason, the starters for most teams did not play any credible amount of downs for most teams. Baltimore was 5-0 in the preseason. John Harbaugh said it was one of our best camps we had. They've won 13, going back a couple years, obviously. 13 consecutive preseason games. I think they felt they needed on every level, whether young or old, starter or non, to have a different attitude in this camp, and it looks like he's achieved his purpose, at least with the first game here.
Yeah, I think there's a sense of urgency with this team, and they've always been a good team in the month of September, especially at home. John Harbaugh knows how to get his team ready for football in September.
1st and goal at the 3, LaShawn McCoy will get the fake. The quarterback will take it and get hit on the play by Smith. Allen goes down. Zadarius Smith throws him for a loss on the play of 2.
Should have handed the ball to the back.
Yeah, looked like he did.
If he did, he walks in. I mean, watch McCoy. He's just going to walk into the end zone. They don't even really account for him, and for some reason the quarterback decided to pull that out. It's the reason why they pay LeSean McCoy a lot of money. He's a good player.
2nd and goal. Josh Allen, incomplete for Benjamin. Carr with the coverage. Intersecting was Humphrey.
Well, he throws him a fastball in the back of the end zone. I don't know where this one may have gotten in on Benjamin. Hits him right, goes right between his arms. That's one you got to make,
especially if you're labeled the #1 receiver. 3rd and goal.
They need him to get back to playing like he did in 2014 when he was one of the finest rookies in football.
And he got injured and he was out in the train. Allen on 3rd and goal at the 5. Dawkins back at the left tackle, and from behind with the sack, Tim Williams. And they like him. 3rd-round pick out of Alabama last year. The 6th sack registered by this terrific D. And they hold him out of the end zone. And it's 4th and goal, and here comes the field goal unit for the Bills.
You know, they have so many players that can rush the passer. And in studying tape, I really liked what I saw from Tim Williams in the preseason. He made a number of these plays. And they have 6 players that can rush off the edge. And that's why they are one of the premier pass defensive teams in football. They come at you so many different ways.
35-yard Harshka field goal try. And the shutout is gone. It's 40-3 in a flag. With 2.5 to play in the 3rd.
Offside. Before that penalty's declined, the field goal is good.
Harshka missed a 52-yarder in the middle of the game. He just nailed a 35-yarder. And the Bills have their first points on the board here in this one. 40-3 with
now
2:38 to go in the 3rd.
And because of the score, Kevin, you can start taking some of the starters out of the game. Terrell Suggs, Flacco's out of the game. You get your running back Alex Collins, and not only do you get the starters out of the game, but you get a chance to look at and evaluate the younger players on the roster. I mean, what a unique opportunity for Lamar Jackson to play a majority of the snaps here in the 2nd half.
So let me ask you something. If you're Buffalo and you've been working with the quarterback competition and Peterman emerged, you traded the one guy who signed in the offseason, McCarron, and you get your doors blown off as they are here on opening weekend. What do you do for next week?
I think you got to play Josh Allen. There's a reason why you moved up to get him. Doesn't get any easier. They've got the Chargers next week, although it's at home, so that's a good thing. But you got to find out about him, Kevin. I know I get it that you want to be smart with him, but I think he's the better player, and just got to find out where he's at mentally. How much can he handle? How much can he absorb in one short week?
Harshka's kickoff will go out of the end zone. Touchback to the 25. It's 40-3 here. Let's go to New York and James Brown with Boomer Esiason.
Kevin, Cincy edging.
No, a lot of the story today about Andrew Luck and his comeback, but Cincinnati's hanging right in there to take a 1-point lead, 24-23. Joe Mixon, 14 carries, 90 yards, and that touchdown right there to give the Bengals that 1-point lead.
Back to Kevin Harlan.
Great, thank you. That looks like a fun game to watch. There is a new player on that line for the Ravens, Orlando Brown Jr. His dad played 6 years for the Ravens, and Orlando Jr. grew up here in Baltimore. Handoff. That's Dixon on 1st and 10. There he is. Gain of 4 right there up to the 30-yard line.
And like his daddy, he is a big man. He is 6'8", 345 pounds, the rookie at Oklahoma. And he grew up a huge Ravens fan. Look at that. There he is right there. How about that, huh?
His dad was a really good player, as you know, Kevin.
Sure was. 2nd down 6. Dixon again. Adolphus Washington had the tackle on the last play, and he has the tackle on that play, and no gain on the play as they stay at the 29. Orlando Sr. was back with the Ravens for a second stint. He passed away in 2011 at the much too early age of 40. But his son, Orlando Jr., was a 3rd-round pick out of Oklahoma. This was his team. He grew up cheering on the Ravens. Now he is a part of the organization. One of the best in pro football. 3rd and 6. Lamar Jackson will take it himself. Got a nice block in the play from his tight end, Nick Boyle. He picks up 7 on 3rd and 6 and has a Baltimore 1st down. Milano the tackle.
Well, they can do so much with Lamar Jackson, not just in terms of his run-pass options, but even when you see Marty Morningwig there, even when you call a pass, if it breaks down, his ability to just pull the ball down and run, that's what concerns defensive coordinators more than anything. Mobile quarterbacks that won't hesitate to pull it down and run when you're in coverage. Very different than what they have in Flacco.
1st down and 10. Jackson to Dixon, and Edmonds had a shot at him after a gain of 5, and you can see he kept on his horse, and Alexander finally brought him in. Talked a lot about Flacco and his day with the 3 touchdown passes. Lamar Jackson is playing now, played in the 1st quarter at various positions. In fact, he took a snap at quarterback, and you know Robert Griffin III is on this team. They kept 3 quarterbacks for the first time in Baltimore since 2009. This will take us to the end of the quarter. We'll talk more about RG3, the former Redskin quarterback, and the future down the road, Lamar Jackson, the rookie out of Louisville. All Ravens. The score would tell you that. You're watching the NFL on CBS. 3 quarterbacks on this Ravens roster, including Robert Griffin III, the former Heisman winner, NFL Rookie of the Year. Starting the 4th quarter, 2nd down and 5, Lamar Jackson. He got away from Lawson, and he throws it away. Nice catch on that sideline by
Look at Michael Pierce. He's excited. He's going to keep that ball.
Sure he is. Boy, he was great against the run last year, wasn't he? One of the best defensive linemen in the league.
Both of those players, Pierce and Williams, they are. Watch this. Look at him jump.
That was a good
Actually,
catch.
I think he may have saved his teammate Brandon Williams from getting hit in the side of the head. Look at him jump up there, though. Having fun. You can have fun when you put 40 on the board already, and that's a good defensive line to see Shaq Lawson get up, reaching for that right hamstring, trying to chase Lamar Jackson from behind. You know, you go from playing against Flacco, you know exactly where he's going to be in the pocket, and then you bring in someone like Lamar Jackson, who they move all over the place, and that makes it very difficult if you've got to rush the passer. This guy's, he's going to be hard to get on the ground. Very elusive. He's got great escapability and vision.
Holds several records throwing at Louisville. 3rd down and 5. Dixon in the backfield. Almost picked off. There's Edmonds once again coming in, the rookie out of Virginia Tech. I mentioned this earlier, 20 years old, the youngest starting linebacker on kickoff weekend in history in the Super Bowl era. Long and with a great future. 4th and 5. Here comes the punting unit for Baltimore.
He's going to be a good one, and they're excited about him. You mentioned the length and his ability to play not just the run but the pass. It's an area where the Bills had some issues a season ago.
Marcus Murphy is back after his strong camp, made the roster. Cook lets it fly. About the 11-yard line for Murphy. With a nice tackle from behind, Kennedy, defensive back, makes the stop. He's the 3rd actual cornerback on this team, and back at Carr and Humphrey. With Smith suspended. 9-yard return, 50-yard punt with another look at Josh Allen.
As I mentioned, you forget about the score. You just want to go out there every series. You want to see what this kid can do. If you're One of those offensive linemen, hey, look, got your future at the quarterback position. You want to make sure he gets off to a good start. Give him some time to set his feet and function back there in the pocket. Keep the hits off the rookie quarterback.
1st and 10, Murphy in the backfield. He gets the call. Lost the ball, incomplete. Jefferson was covering. Steve Tasker's on our sideline.
Yeah, one of the things in a game like this, and Rich, you've probably seen it as well, they insert Josh Allen into the lineup as the Bills go no huddle here. And you can tell the entire sideline was energized by that and the fact that they know that at some point he's going to make a play that nobody else will make. And just the energy that you see from the sideline with him in the game is markedly different.
2nd and 10, flushed right here, chased and throws. And Steve, you do the Buffalo Bills preseason games. You've seen a lot of this kid. You know the organization well, still living in Buffalo, and I know their hopes are very high for what he's going to bring them.
Absolutely, but there's no doubt that this is earlier than they thought he would be in the football game. They do not think he's quite ready to come out, start a game, and do the things you want from a starting quarterback. But it may happen by default given the way their offense played today. But no doubt he's ultimately physically gifted. The guy's got an enormous arm. He's big, tall, and he's an athlete. So sooner or later, they're going to find out what they've got.
3rd and 10, Allen slings the pass, and he's got the receiver with a big hit put on by Jefferson in the secondary. Gains 15 on the play. Curley was the recipient of the pass, and there's a flag back where the quarterback was throwing.
Holding. Offense number 76. The penalty's half the distance to the goal. Replay, 3rd down.
2-year starter right guard John Miller for the Buffalo Bills.
You just get a sense for the arm strength of Josh Allen. Even when he's not able to set his feet and really drive on the throw, he can just flick it out there. And that's where you really see the arm strength from Allen. His feet don't have to be perfect, and he can still throw the ball with precision and accuracy outside the numbers.
6 defensive backs, 3rd and 18. They need the 28.
Gotta be smart here.
Allen.
There you go.
And he's got his receiver with a tumbling reception downfield. Logan Thomas, 24-yard pickup. He was covered on the play by Jefferson. They moved the ball to the 32.
This is what I like. He doesn't panic. He keeps his feet moving. He keeps the ball in a throwing position. He slides. He buys some time. And he finds the open tight end down the field, Logan Thomas. This is good to see from your rookie quarterback.
1st and 10. Out here a little bit, Zay Jones makes the grab. Hit by a couple on the play and picks up 2. As he gets it up near the 35-yard line.
The question is whether the rookie quarterback's ready to play. The other question you have to ask yourself as an organization, are we ready as a football team for a young quarterback? And right now, my answer is offensively, they're not, Kevin. They're still working through this revamped offensive line. You've got a new play caller, and he's still trying to figure out who they are, what the personality of this team is. So that's not an ideal situation for Josh Allen.
Here's Murphy on 2nd down and 8. Marcus Murphy was a state champion sprinter in Texas, DeSoto, Texas. And there is no gain on the play. Young makes the stop for the Ravens.
Well, the Bills are going to have to win ugly here for a while. How do you do that? Well, you got to rely on your defense. Defense has to play well. That man right there has to get the lion's share of the work. And you got to be good in the kicking game. And the quarterback's got to take care of the football.
3rd and 8. And that is incomplete. He's going for Thomas.
You can't have drops.
Nope. Thomas was there. By the way, Thomas is the emergency 3rd quarterback. They got Peterman, and they've got just the 2 quarterbacks on the roster. He's the 3rd guy. He played some college quarterback at Virginia Tech. Fourth and 8. Punting team is out there, as you can see. And they jump on it about the 11-yard line. Grant jumping on it. Taiwan Jones down there covering it. 54-yard punt. We step aside with 11:55 in the fourth. Notable players around the NFL coming back from injury. Beckham, Watson, and Luck, and all with pretty impressive numbers in week one, Rich.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. These guys have been chomping at the bit to get back in there. Look at those quarterbacks. Watson, the knee last year. Luck's been struggling with that shoulder. Good to see all three of them back on the field.
Nice spinning move by Dixon, brought down by Harrison Phillips. Third-round pick out of Stanford and a rookie. A 15-yard corkscrew run up to the 26 and a first down for the Ravens.
It's a good-looking run by Kenneth Dixon, and see that little spin move there. See him carrying that ball high and tight. He's got that ball way up there by his chest. See the pressure he's applying with the forearm and the hand and the fingers.
Dixon didn't even play last year. He was on injured reserve, had a knee injury. First and 10 with a couple tight ends, one of which is on the move, Williams and Dixon. Good aggressive tackle was made on the play by Matt Milano with a gain of a yard.
It was a humbling experience. You know, the Bills had high expectations coming off of their first playoff appearance in years and going 9-7, really finishing strong, and they just were outmatched today. And in fairness to their defense, Kevin, they've been on the field a lot, and their offense just couldn't get a first down. The turnovers started to become an issue, and the time you make a quarterback change week one, it's never a good thing.
Jackson, he's got some nice moves, elusively working into the grasp of Jerry Hughes. Gain of 10. Another first down, put him at the 37 of Baltimore.
You talk about quarterback changes. Do you realize that Joe Flacco has never been benched for performance in 10 seasons? You know what I mean? So you talk about, you know, some coaches have a quick trigger, and I'm not suggesting that that's the issue with Sean McDermott. I mean, look, they went out and traded up to get Josh Allen. They got to find out about him, but some coaches are very hesitant to make a change so early with the quarterback.
Allen in with the two tight ends and a first and 10 handoff from Lamar Jackson. Brought down from behind by Tre'Davious White. He was in the Defensive Rookie of the Year conversation a year ago. That's a gain of 8, and he's up to the 45.
Unfortunately for me, Ken, I didn't play for a lot of coaches like John Harbaugh that were so patient with developing quarterbacks. I played for some coaches that had a quick hook.
You know, there's some Ravens, Rich, that said the drafting of Lamar Jackson lit a fire under Flacco. It has created, maybe, as Flacco has said, a very strange situation for him.
Well, it certainly sends a message, but I would also say that this is as healthy as Joe Flacco has been in a while, Kevin. And he's
Second and 2, Dixon. He's got the first down, leaning into that defense, and picks up 3 on the play.
You know, I think Marty Morningwig really hit it home on Friday. He said it's as healthy as he's seen him. It's as good as he's seen him move. His feet are better. He's pushing up in the pocket. He's trusting the protection. And I think maybe most importantly, they're a better team around him. I mean, they were awful a season ago at wide receiver. They went out and added Crabtree and John Brown and Willie Snead, and they'd get Marshall Yonda back up front. And I mean, they look a lot different around them. They drafted 2 tight ends who they're excited about.
One of which isn't even played, Hayden Hurst, their first-round pick out of South Carolina with a stress fracture with the first and 10. As Dixon will poke and pick his way in there, and Alexander, along with a couple, bring him down, including Milano once again, with a 7-yard gain to the 45-yard line of Buffalo.
I think the receivers, if there's anything that really jumps out to me with this Ravens offense, it's the production and the confidence I think the quarterback has in Crabtree, Brown, and Snead. And also the confidence I think that the play caller, Marty Morningwig, has in those 3. And that was an area of concern a year ago. They weren't able to stretch the field. And you look at the last 32 games, Flacco had been over 7.5 per attempt just 6 times. In those games, the Ravens were 4-2.
7th consecutive run. Allen bulldozing his way. Yarbrough makes the stop. That is a gain of 4. It is a first down to the 40 to New York, and Boomer Esiason.
All right, Kevin, Cleveland trying to get themselves back into the game after a James Conner fumble around the 1-yard line. Back comes Carlos Hyde, for the touchdown. Now it is 21-14. Pittsburgh leading with 7:32 to go in the fourth quarter. Back to you, Kev.
Boom, thank you.
How about that? Lost 13 straight season openers. Browns still struggling.
1st and 10. Everybody was moving early on that, it looked like.
False start by the offense. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Nineteenth total accepted penalty today.
Think about both these head coaches, Sean McDermott, John Harbaugh, both worked for Andy Reid as members of that Eagles staff. Both have great respect for one another and both worked on the defensive side of the ball before John went over to special teams.
Jackson on 1st and 15. Forced out of bounds. Jerry Hughes among a couple on the chase with a gain of 4. Harbaugh and McDermott. Yep.
They were good friends. And you think about that coaching tree of Andy Reid's, Kevin, it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. Good football coaches, good head coaches, not only develop talent on the roster, but they also develop talent on the coaching staff. And these are guys that have a lot of similarities. They believe in guys that are tough, smart, determined, and self-motivated. And that's when you look at how John Harbaugh's built the roster with Ozzie Newsome, one of the best in the business, and you look at how Sean McDermott is going about doing it with Brandon Beane in Buffalo.
2nd and 11. Dixon has no place to go. Nice convergence right there. Yarbrough among a couple, losing 4 on the play. You know, Jackson struggled, Rich, the first 3 preseason games, but they really saw marked improvement. Played well the last 2. And you have the future with him, your veteran at 33-year-old Joe Flacco, and then you bring in Griffin, who they say makes the quarterback meeting room stronger, better, more lively, and certainly something in a very positive way.
It's amazing how quickly things can change in our business. You think about Robert Griffin III, Kevin, he's just 28 years old, and he was the Rookie of the Year.
3rd and 15, Williams inside, found the seam. Brought down by Micah Hyde, 24-yard catch and run. Max Williams with a nice play to the 22 of Buffalo.
This is good to see. We talk about him getting better and functioning in the pocket. Watch him step up in the pocket. He knows he's going to get hit, but he's able to keep his eyes down the field and throw a dart to Max Williams. It's a good rep for Lamar Jackson.
Jackson's first NFL completion.
And the challenge for Lamar Jackson, Kevin, is just, you know, this is a complicated offense. It's a lot different than what he experienced at Louisville. The volume, so much different.
Timeout.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Universal Pictures Night School, in theaters September 28th. Progressive Insurance, handing off big savings to you. And by Sonic. This is how you Sonic.
Raven linebacker Ray Lewis inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame this summer. 17 seasons, all with the Ravens in his career. 2-time Super Bowl champion.
Timeout, Baltimore.
Baltimore takes a timeout. So, Rich, walk me through the Bills and what it's going to be like here next 36, 48 hours for them and their team as they digest this loss.
Well, I think you go back and you start looking at the film and making the corrections, really getting some things cleaned up. But I think Sean McDermott and Brian Dable, the offensive coordinator, have a decision to make, and they need to make it quickly. What are they going to do at quarterback next week? And I'd be surprised, quite frankly, if it's not Josh Allen. I think he threw the ball well here in the second half. I think you get a sense for what he's capable of doing if the protection's good. He can move around, he can slide, he can extend plays, and he can whip the ball down the field. I would tell you that just looking at them, they've got to get better at the wide receiver position. Bills receivers ranked dead last in receptions and receiving yards a season ago. I wasn't overly impressed with any of them today.
Dixon on 1st and 10. He picks up 4. Brought down on the play by Jordan Poyer.
They've got some tough games coming up. You look at what the Bills have. They've got to play the Chargers next week. They've got a couple really good pass rushers. Bosa's not going to play this weekend, but then you travel to Minnesota. Mike Zimmer. That's not going to be easy for an inexperienced quarterback. You got a new defensive coordinator in Green Bay and Mike Pettin, and of course the Titans and the Texans. So look, there are no gimmies in this league. You got to come ready to play each and every week, and the Bills have plenty of work to do.
2nd and 6 is Jackson. Look at him. He's inside the 5 as he sprints to give him a goal-to-go situation. A 15-yard run by Lamar Jackson.
Well, look at the play fake. He puts the ball right in there, and the safety, Micah Hyde, is in position, but Lamar Jackson just gives him a stiff arm and knocks him to the ground.
Pompano Beach, Florida. Lamar Jackson. Artie Morningweg was right there. The quarterback coach is new. James Urban, the biggest key in my career, said Michael Vick about James Urban.
Better hurry up.
He was the Bengals wide receiver coach at Philadelphia. NAB.
They're not going to get this off.
Yep. And they've got a timeout. Handoff Dixon, 1st and goal. And he'll sledgehammer his way in for the touchdown.
Well, they got it off. Barely.
46-0. That was the 13th play of the drive. It was an 8-minute drive, and it culminates 46-3. Excuse me. That was a long drive and a 15-yard run moments ago by Lamar Jackson. Put him in position with the goal-to-go situation, and Dixon takes it in.
You get your backups in there, and you get guys that are just having fun, competing, and a lot of these players. You look at Kenneth Dixon. He feels like he should be a starter, or can be a starter in this league. Sometimes all it takes is an opportunity.
Dixon played back in 2016, had a couple of rushing touchdowns. As one receiving touchdown, like we said, didn't play last year. The injury in camp, the knee, and there's the extra point, which makes it 47-3. Baltimore on top. Jackson set it up with a 15-yard sprint and got him goal to go. And then Dixon got him to the end zone. Well, they've gotten 3 rushing touchdowns. Dixon from 3. Buck Allen from 1. Collins from 8. First score of the game, and they've gotten 3 touchdown passes from Joe Flacco today. 6 different players with touchdown receptions. Brown, Snead, and Crabtree. 47-3. Tucker, who's got a couple of field goals of 41 and 39, will knock this off to the running back out of the University of Missouri, Marcus Murphy, and showing some of that state champion high school sprinter speed as he takes it up the side and just gets by midfield. With a return of 49 yards for the Buffalo Bills, and coming up on the State Farm postgame show. Join JB, Phil, Nate, Boomer, and Coach Cower for the latest news, scores, and highlights. A lot of good games going on. That's all coming up on the State Farm postgame show from New York. Anthony Averett is in, a rookie out of Alabama now, part of the secondary for the Baltimore Ravens, with a 1st and 10 for Josh Allen. Ivory was in the backfield. He's going deep right here, looking for Foster. He just about had it. Robert Foster just about hauled that in, the rookie free agent out of Alabama.
Boy, better throw there, and he may score. He gets behind the corner, and he's got to slow down and try and find this ball. And if it weren't for the corner stumbling, he still may have caught it.
Well, Averett went to Alabama. Foster went to Alabama, so surely they've played against each other in many Nick Saban coach practices in Tuscaloosa. 2nd down and 10. Ivory, nice defensive play coming through Kenny Young. Losing 2 on the play. Kenny Young, he was competing with Owasso, and he has been showing a lot here in this late stage of the game. Left knee bruise for Kenny, the rookie out of UCLA, and a 4th-round pick. 3rd and 12. Up the middle they come again. Belts it on the play. Young nailed the quarterback. And the pass astray, and the punting unit once again to the field. Watch this shot here taken by Kenny Young.
And he puts his shoulder right in the rib of Josh Allen. He'll feel that one on the plane ride home tonight back to Buffalo. I like Young. He's a good player.
Bojorquez, the rookie punter for Buffalo today, 7 punts, averaging 49 yards a punt, couple inside the 20. With very unfavorable conditions, wind and rain. This punt here, the 9, fair caught. Janarian Grant, 44-yard punt. Well placed at the 9. And if you're Baltimore, Rich, getting everybody a hand on the ball, you've made all these changes at wide receiver. They signed the 3 new players there. They've gotten younger at the tight end. They draft a quarterback and a tight end in the first round. Feeling is they have improved. They've gotten stronger. And they've got some weapons for Flacco, who is healthy, and that was a headline going into the season.
Right, but I think it's important not to overreact, right? You look at the score, 47-3, and I think good teams have the ability to handle success. Go into that film room on Monday with a critical eye and look at where you can get better and the areas where you can make improvement. I think that's what they'll do. That's what all good coaches do. You look at what the Ravens have. They've got a tough schedule too now. They've got 4 of their next 5 on the road. It is a brutal schedule to start the season.
Bozeman is the new right guard for this team. Skur remains the center. 2nd down 11. We told you Orlando Brown is in. Dixon will take it as he puts his pads up to about the 16-yard line. Belted with a Saran Neal tackle. Gain of 6. And we're going down to the 2-minute warning here in Baltimore. Commanding performance by the Ravens. A lot on the plate for Sean McDermott as the NFL kickoff weekend continues on CBS.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Verizon. Now go mix and match family unlimited plans. And by FedEx. Possibilities. What we deliver by delivering.
Look at the National Aquarium here in Baltimore, Maryland's largest paid tourist attraction. It has hosted more than 51 million visitors since opening in 1981. 2-minute warning, 3rd and 4. Lamar Jackson has played the majority of the second half. Flacco was brilliant, 25 of 34. 3 touchdown passes. With the handoff here, Dixon is wrapped up and taken down by Eddie Arborough out of Wyoming with a gain of a yard. 4th down, and the punting unit takes the field. Coming up, the State Farm postgame show from New York. JB, Phil, Nate, Boomer, and Coach Cowher. Scores, highlights, and news all coming up. The State Farm postgame show. Player is down. That is Dixon. From Louisiana Tech. Platts Conference USA. And they take a look at him. Maybe his foot was stepped on, I'm told. No timeouts now for Baltimore. Injury timeout. They take one off the clock. Inside 2. And he kind of got contorted and then stepped on by Hughes. Rich, we touched on this earlier about the dead money the Buffalo Bills have. $54 million in dead salary cap space that Brandon Beane, the GM, and Coach Sean McDermott are dealing with. That is by far the most in the NFL. In fact, double, I think, the next closest team, Dallas. So they've got they've
what are you suggesting? They should go out and spend some
next year. What I'm saying is, next year they're going to have some.
We're already 1 week into this thing. Let's see what they can do next week.
Well, these are just all the storylines heading into this season. I'm just saying. But it is one of those things that kind of hang over the team's head in terms of.
They've got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, they do.
And Sean McDermott knows it.
Cook.
It's a returnable kick.
Murphy will let it get to the sideline and out of bounds near the 28-yard line, 29-yard line. We've talked a lot about how Baltimore was throwing a shutout for most of this game.
Well, how about their new defensive coordinator, their old linebacker coach? They promote from within. There's a history of that here in Baltimore, and I got a kick out of visiting with him on Friday. The first words out of his mouth said, what are you going to try and do differently? He said, we're going to attack situational football more aggressively. I mean, think about it. And that's really his mindset. You know, he wants to be, there's two kinds of defensive coordinators in this league. I think those that feel pressure and those that apply it. He's all about applying pressure, constant pressure to quarterbacks.
1st and 10, Murphy with the draw. And then Pierce brought him down after a gain of 3. He said they stripped down the defense to its very core, didn't they, Richie? They began right from the beginning to see how it had developed.
Yeah, they wanted to rebuild it. And keep in mind, you've got a long history of coordinators, Marvin Lewis and Mike Nolan and Rex Ryan, Chuck Pagano, Dean Pease. And so everyone kept adding their own little mix to it. And so they really wanted to go back to the core of what this defense was about. And it did streamline and simplify some things. And I think it's going to make a big difference this year for the Ravens.
Zay Jones from Allen in a completion of 10 yards and a 1st down to the 42.
No, they love him. Wink Martindale. Don Martindale, they call him Wink, and he is a guy that is a terrific teacher, great communicator, and he really stresses technique and fundamentals, and boy, they were impressive today.
He plays as Dean Pease, who retired momentarily and then accepted the job down with Vrabel in Tennessee. There's a backpedaling catch by Kroon. He's got a couple today, and he gets into Baltimore territory, or he was brought down on the play after a gain of 10 by Averett.
I'd be surprised if we don't see Josh Allen next week. How about you, Kevin? What's your sense of it?
My sense is that all these teams at one time or another, probably in the first half of the season, will start these rookies. He is the future for the team. With the 1st and 10 here.
He can move. I like that.
The problem, though, Rich, and you can see him right here being chased and brought down by, again, Kenny Young. Kenny Young has looked terrific. But that offensive line has been rebuilt, retooled, redone, and he is not going to have, you know, the kind of guys, obviously, that eventually they want to have in front of him protecting him. He's going to take a lot of hits.
Yeah, it's never a perfect situation, right, with a rookie quarterback. But, Kevin, at some point, you got to cut him loose. And, you know, I think we've seen enough of him today in terms of his ability to throw the football, move around, protect himself, which is important. And they're going to have to play better around him. I mean, they're going to have to run the ball. McCoy's going to be more of a factor. Chris Ivory's going to be more of a factor. Charles Clay was a non-factor today, as were the receivers. They better find a way to get Kelvin Benjamin some touches.
Benjamin caught one pass for 10 yards, and they threw to him a lot. He was targeted at least 10 times.
Andre Holmes was quiet.
2nd down and 11. On the move, Allen.
There's a good throw.
And it was. You can see the arm. You can see the possibilities. Zay Jones there, 14-yard pickup. Clock with 11 seconds, and a timeout taken by the Bills.
He really throws the ball well on the move, moving to his right or to his left. Got a good strong arm. You look at that left wristband. He's got a ton of plays on that wristband.
And I know you're a Brian Daboll fan. They've got the right voice in his ear.
He's going to do a good job, and it's not an easy position to be in. You come in, you're trying to install your system of football, but you're also trying to learn and figure out who the quarterbacks you have. And I think, you know, you want to put them in a position where they have a chance to be successful. Really focus in on concepts and plays that Josh Allen likes.
Allen is 6 of 14 for 74 yards. He's going deep here, and he is incomplete. Foster was down there, the rookie free agent. Now 5 seconds remain.
I think the biggest challenge for a rookie quarterback is the speed of the game, Kevin, but also the coverage. You know, in college, a lot of times the players, I don't want to say are so wide open, but they've got 2 or 3 steps, where in the National Football League, everything seems like it's a contested throw. And you've got to be able to fit the ball into tight windows. And it isn't easy. And 3rd down is as hard as it gets in our league. These defensive coordinators spend a ton of time trying to figure out ways to get off the field on 3rd down.
Murphy on the draw. This will be all she wrote. 47-3 is the final. Baltimore wins it. 7 sacks on defense and 2 takeaways, 2 interceptions. Flacco was 25 of 34 3 touchdown passes. All the new parts put their fingerprints on this Baltimore win on opening weekend. For Rich Gannon, Kevin Harlan, coming up next, the State Farm post-game show as we take you live. Steve Tasker, thank you on the sideline. Let's go to James Brown in New York.